What's up, man?
What's up?
Thanks for doing this. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for introducing me to your dog, because I have to tell you that video of you grabbing that raccoon and chucking it down the stairs was easily one of the most gangster things I've ever seen online.
I appreciate that.
Is this it?
Yeah, this is it. I had to put a little disclaimer up here so that, the animal rights folks wouldn't get pissed off.
They're gonna get pissed off anyway. But look,
right now I hear him crying because there's no audio on the cameras, but he's like just getting mauled by this thing.
And you just picked it up and fucking chucked it like a gangster, dude. You didn't just push it away. You picked it up over your head, went back behind the head like you're throwing a medicine ball.
Here's another angle.
Yeah, this is the best angle. Over the back of the head and shoom, bang. We're talking to Kevin Rose, the founder of Digg.
I got to say, though, it was a little liquid courage. I'd had a couple glasses of wine. And number two, my intention was to go down there and just kick it.
Right.
But it was on top of my dog, so I'd be punting my dog at the same time.
It was tangled. Yeah.
So, then I grabbed it, and it's greasy and kind of bristly.
Oof.
So, but, whatever. It's when it's your baby. I know that sounds weird to say with a dog, but it's just like I thought he was dying. He was howling like he was getting shredded, but with his claws, So I'm thinking my dog is being killed.
Did you think it was a coyote?
No. We had seen raccoons in the backyard before, and it was just one of those things where they always just kind of like run away the second the lights come on. And this time, I don't know I don't know if he had babies. Actually, there were some other raccoons that we saw with him at the same time. So I don't know.
Man, those weird sort of fringe wildlife creatures like raccoons and coyotes that kind of hang around cities are so creepy.
Yeah, there's a ton in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Like just all over the place at night. They just dig through the trash, basically.
Well, San Francisco, believe it or not, at least the outside edges, has a bit of a mountain lion problem.
I've heard that.
Yeah. They did this study recently where they checked the digestive tracts of all these mountain lions, and they thought we're going to find deer and rabbit. No, they found mostly pets.
Yeah.
It's like 50% cats and dogs is what they found.
Yeah. That you don't want to tangle with a mountain lion. That's crazy.
Well, it's just weird that they've chosen to exist in the periphery of these cities and sort of feed on these pets.
House animals.
Yeah.
It's too bad.
Yeah. It's not normal, though, that a raccoon attacks a dog like that, right?
Yeah, they typically just take off. That's been our experience with them. And then I proceeded to go on Amazon and buy a trap. And so then I was able to trap one a few days later, and it was evil. I went down there just to check out the trap, and I saw it from above. And when I got down there, it was just hissing and trying to scratch the cage at me. And they're not the friendly ones that you see on YouTube. Like, there's some that are like kind of domesticated, where they people feed them and then they come and you can pet them and whatnot. These wild ones are just like the I will cut your throat kind of animals.
I had a feral cat for a while, and I love cats, but feral cats, it is a completely different experience. Like, mine was a kitten. It was a little baby. It was really young, like maybe 3 months old at the most, and you couldn't get anywhere near it. You'd go near it, and it would run up the side of the wall. It would tear apart the curtains, trying to get away from you.
Did you just get rid of it, or
no? I kept it. I locked myself in a bedroom with it for a couple days.
Taming it.
Yeah.
You had to break it.
It's not even that I had to break it. I just had to get it used to me. It was a real weird experience. My friend Lainey, she and her boyfriend lived in this apartment in West Hollywood, like West LA, like Santa Monica area, and there's these feral cats that had babies underneath the apartment building. And so they're like, oh, my God, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? All right, we have to trap them. And so she knew that I already had 2 cats. So she's like, do you want a cat? I was like, all right, fuck it. Give me a cat.
Yeah.
And
if you give those to the animal shelter, they'll terminate them. Yeah.
They'll kill them immediately.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Well, it was so hard to get used to this thing. But it would hiss at you. But when you pick it up, it would go... It would like be the loudest purs.
Crazy.
It was so happy that someone was touching it. But then you'd put it down just for a second. It would like... It would run away again. It took forever, and like it took years before it would let anyone else get even close to it.
Like hiding under furniture or things like that?
You couldn't even get, it would hiss at you and run away from you. I was the only one that could touch it. And even me, I had to like go, hey, dude, it's me. You know me, right?
Yeah.
We're cool, right? We're cool. And I had to get close to him, but he would swing at you. He definitely bite you. Yeah.
I don't know why. About a month ago, I was looking up how to break a horse. I just thought that'd be kind of a fun thing.
Fuck that, man.
Why? Why not? It would be amazing. The
so
bond you would
big.
have.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
they'll kick your ass though.
They're
pretty
so
much.
big.
That'd be fun though.
Yeah.
That'd be a good like weekend project. Get off the computer, go break a horse.
I know a bunch of people that have gotten hurt from horses.
Yeah.
They've fallen off horses and broken arms and legs and stuff. It's just, I know a dude got kicked by a horse.
Oh.
Yeah.
That could be death.
Oh yeah, they kill like all kinds of animals, like dogs, like barking dogs. They kick them, and the dog. That's
game
it.
over.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting hit by a telephone pole. Those fucking things are giant.
That.
I mean, it's an animal that can take a 200-pound man and run with it on its back for hours.
Right. There's raw power there.
I was in Montreal, and there's this amazing restaurant called Joe Beef, and they serve horse there. And it's one of those places where I know the owners through Anthony Bourdain. He introduced me to him. And so they said, just let us cook for you. And so we're like, okay, go ahead, man. He goes, fuck the menu, just let us cook for you.
Like horse three ways kind of thing?
That was just one of the things they brought over. We didn't know what it was until they set it down. They're like, this is horse tartare. And we're like,
Crazy.
Wait a minute, what? Raw horse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had lamb tartare one time when I was in Dubai. That was a little funky. It's very fatty. And so it's a lot of like film on your mouth after you get done eating it. Like the roof of your mouth, kind of like a little filmy. Not fun.
Well, I'm a fan of lamb until I found out what lamb is. That it's baby sheep.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Well,
like, you think of
it's
lamb.
adult sheep though too, right?
No, that's mutton.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It's like veal is baby
It's like the
cows.
veal of the mutton world.
Yeah. And I went, oh,
I didn't know it was babies.
Yeah. Well, really young.
Yeah.
Immature. Yeah.
That's too bad.
It is too bad.
It is tasty.
It's the most delicious. Well, that's why when you get lamb chops, it's a very small bone.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now,
you figure like we would just assume, right?
That's too bad. You just kind of tainted me forever.
Bummed it out. Well, it's really easy for you to digest for some reason. Lamb is a much more digestible meat.
Protein-wise?
Yeah, it's very good for you. A lot of people feel like it's a more high-quality meat, closer to like a wild game than, say, like cows and things along those lines.
How do they measure that?
It's a good question. I know they can measure protein content somehow, and they know that like some animals, like I think moose has like the highest protein content.
Like per gram kind of thing?
Yeah. But I think it's also, that's probably based on how lean it is too, because you would assume that an 8-ounce piece of moose would be far less fat than an 8-ounce piece of domestic beef.
Right.
So that's probably how they measure it.
Crazy.
Well, it looks different. Like lamb looks different than beef. When you look at it, it's like a redder sort of a, unless it's grass-fed beef. Grass-fed beef, pretty red.
Have you tried bear?
Yes.
See,
yes.
That's one I haven't tried, but I've been curious. I've heard it's pretty oily, though.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's not?
No. Well, it really depends on how you prepare it in the field and what you do with it. But bear sausage is delicious, and bear backstraps, the loin, is really good grilled. But bear, you have to be really careful because you can get trichinosis. A lot of bears have trichinosis, so you have to make sure it's cooked to 165 degrees.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's like it's actually.
So there's no medium rare bear
no,
loin.
No,
you're going
the only
way
way you could ever do that is if you got it tested first. You could do that, like you'd send it to a lab, like you take the bear's tongue and you send it out to a lab and they test it, or is that I think you might have to actually send the actual meat itself or a piece of meat. But if it has trichinosis, it's throughout its whole body.
Is it tough?
No.
Oh, interesting.
No, bear's weird, man.
Huh.
Their bodies are very mushy. You would think of their bodies like an elk or a deer is a very strong, like they're very muscular, like a horse is. You
right.
know? But a bear is almost like gushy. Like when they die and when you pick them up, they're like a fat person. It's weird.
Well, they hibernate and they have those big fat stores. So I guess that makes sense.
But they have the way you would describe it is like they have a soft body. But the meat is very good.
Yeah.
It's the way I describe it is like a pig fucked a deer. That's what bear tastes like.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I like pig.
Yeah, you would like it.
Fucked a deer.
If I had some, man, I'm having some delivered on Thursday. How long are you going to be in town for?
I take off tomorrow.
Damn it. Next time, I'll bring you some bear
sounds
sausage.
awesome.
And I'll have it frozen for you so you can take it back.
That's great.
It's really good, and it's also one of those animals where my friend Steve Ranella calls them charismatic megafauna, where if you say you eat bear, there's a bunch of people that have this like knee jerk.
Right.
But it's one of those game animals where it's actually imperative that people hunt them because they don't have any natural predators. So if they don't get hunted, if someone doesn't control the population, they decimate the moose and the deer because they eat all the fawns.
Interesting.
They eat all the ground nesting birds, and they also eat each other.
So I have a friend that collects butterflies, my friend's wife, and apparently there are places in the world where the butterflies are a serious problem. Like they overtake and eat crops and like decimate everything.
Wow.
And they're these beautiful 6-7 inch butterflies. But she sources them from there, where they actually have to kill them, otherwise it's going to ruin the whole environment.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
I didn't know that.
she collects the dead ones.
The dead ones, yeah. So she has them up on the wall, kind of in one of those cases, so you can see them.
Yeah.
And when you first walk in, you're like, okay, asshole, because there's like all these beautiful butterflies all over the place. But apparently that's the deal. Is you have to just source them.
Well, there's
properly.
a really cool butterfly pavilion in Denver. It's really awesome, and it's you go there, and when you go inside of it, they have all these misters everywhere,
Right.
and the entire place is just filled with butterflies.
San Francisco has one of those as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's
and they
pretty
land
awesome.
on your head,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
they're all around you.
And when you leave, they have to like dust you off because there's so many butterflies on you.
But they die while you're there. I mean, their shelf life or their life is very short.
Right.
So they die constantly. Like you find them dead all throughout the place. Not that anybody killed them; they just
Right.
die of old age. Like we watched a couple of them just sit down on a leaf, and then all
just
of a sudden
die.
you're like, "That's it, we're good."
Wow.
They're only good. I mean, how long does a butterfly live?
It's
Does it say how long a butterfly lives?
a super zen moment.
Let's guess. I say a butterfly lives a week.
Yeah, I think a week sounds about right. Probably a little less.
A week?
I think so. I'm looking.
You say a week?
Yeah, I'd say a little less than that.
They're so amazing looking. It's such a strange thing that nature can create all of these beautiful designs and shapes and just different forms of life,
Yeah, absolutely.
especially in bug form. Bugs are some of the most I think we entirely take bugs for granted. The idea of them. They're so common. What does it say? A month. Oh, they last a month. Interesting.
Have you done any of that bug protein powder?
Yes, I
Have you done the cricket stuff that
Yeah.
Tim Ferriss is into? Mm-hmm. Do you
Yeah.
like that?
I like bugs. I mean, I really think that's probably because of my time on Fear Factor. I got super used to people eating bugs. But I like the idea of it because it is like probably one of the most ethical proteins. Like it's the easiest to source. It needs very little like land and ground. And for whatever reason, even most vegans don't have a problem with you eating bugs. Like most vegans will slap a mosquito.
Right.
They're not going to let some mosquito just vampire off them.
Right.
They will kill a mosquito. So we have this hierarchy of life. Plant life is at the lowest. You're allowed to kill and eat plants.
Right.
And then it gets up to weird animals like bear.
Well, you've heard of fruitarians. Those are
Yes.
even more extreme than just the general plants. They only fall in fruit.
Yeah, I had an aunt that was a fruitarian.
Oh, God, that's scary.
She was crazy.
Was she in bad shape? Because they don't get a lot of essential stuff.
We
and-
haven't talked in a long, long time, but she was crazy when I was a little kid. She
Yeah.
was a vegetarian when I was, I think I was like 7 or 8.
And was she only fallen fruit, like fruit that has fallen off the tree? Because
I
that's
think she
the
probably picked
extreme version of that.
I think she probably picked it. I didn't really know her very well, and she wasn't very close even to her own children.
You
She's
should have her on.
Completely crazy. I don't think she'd be into it. She's probably, I don't even know if she's around anymore. She's probably in her late 60s at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she was a nutty hippie from the 60s. Had some kids, had my cousins, just lost her fucking mind.
Yeah, fruitarians, man.
Yeah, she was deep in the world of plants, but she wasn't healthy, like mentally or physically. So it wasn't like someone that would go, "Wow, maybe that's the way to go." It was
Right.
like, "Oh, look at this crazy bitch," 'cause
Right.
she didn't even like her kids. Like she didn't have a good relationship with her own children. It's like, how am I going to take you seriously about fucking fruit?
Right.
How about you be nice to people, crazy bitch?
There's certain. I think we've all looked at like vegetarians have been like seen someone really healthy and thought, "Wow, you're glowing."
Yeah.
Like I would also like to glow. Like
Yeah.
I could see myself doing that, but yeah, the fruit stuff's a little too far.
Well, before I started started hunting, I had two thoughts in mind. One, this was going to turn me into a vegan, or two, I would become a hunter. So those are the two things that I went into it with. So I think there's a lot of health benefits to eating a lot of vegetables. I think everybody agrees on that, 100%. No doubt. It's the real issue is it becomes sort of a weird religion. It becomes almost like an ideology, like a cult. Like it can't. There's no variables. It's like eating animals is evil, and animals are sentient beings. And this, despite what they do to each other, despite the fact they're like, I had a friend who's a vegan. We had this conversation, and I said, "So no animal should be killed ever." He's like, "No." Okay. I have two words for you: wild pigs. What do you do?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, they have to be controlled somehow. I go, how the fuck are you going to do that? You have hundreds of millions of acres, and you have wild pigs. The amount of wild pigs in this country is staggering.
Yeah.
Not only is it staggering, it's exploding. And there's a highway that they opened up in Texas, and they had built this highway, and then they opened it up one night. And then that one night they had like 40 car accidents with pigs.
That's crazy.
Oh, Texas is out of fucking
control. And now there's
control.
those nano pigs that you can get as pets. Pigs are taking over.
Nano pigs?
Have you seen the nano pigs?
No.
Oh, they're little tiny pet pigs. They're like the size of a small toy poodle.
Didn't they always have those? Like, didn't fucking?
They've been around for a while, but they're becoming very popular, especially here in LA. I can't believe you haven't seen them in LA. People walk them like dogs.
You would think that I would, like, because I live out here, that I would understand this place.
Yeah.
But my interaction with LA is going to the Comedy Store and the Improv, going to the comedy clubs, going to where I buy food, going to my neighborhood and being with my friends, and going to the gym, like wherever I work out. That's
do you enjoy the city then, or?
I think there's too many people here.
Yeah.
I just think, oh, look at this little cute little fucker.
They're cute little bastards. Look at that little guy.
Oh, well, that's a baby, though. I mean,
that's a baby nano.
Unquestionably.
That's how you get them, though.
Wow. And how big do they get when they're full grown?
I think just like toy poodle size.
I bet they're
hats for 'em.
Great pets.
Apparently, they're really smart. Look at that, little guitars.
Well, I don't think that's real.
They entertain you, apparently. Hammocks for them.
What a little cutie. They're very cute. But again, it's like there's a big goddamn difference between a domesticated pig that you raise yourself that becomes like a pet and a wild pig.
Right.
Wild pigs are fucking scary. We were in this ranch, this Tahone ranch. We were hunting wild pigs. We were walking down this road, and it was the first time I had any contact with them. I didn't see them. I heard them. And they were in this tall grass, and they were maybe like 20 yards from us, and they were fighting. So we're walking down this road. We're like tiptoeing down this road, and we hear...
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is like some Lord of the Rings shit, man.
Did they have like the full tusks and everything?
Oh, yeah.
So these are boars, basically.
Well, that's where it's weird. See, a pig is something called Suscrafa. I think that's how you say it. And that genus is, they're all the same thing. They're like dogs. So they could breed with each other. And they're the same animal, which means... This is a weird thing about pigs. If you take a domestic pig, a regular pig, a pink pig,
right,
and you leave them out in the wild, they transform into that
really?
Pig. Yes.
Will they grow tusks and everything?
They grow tusks. Their nose extends. Their body fur gets thicker and more dense, and it happens really quickly. I believe the transformation starts to take place within 6 weeks. So within 6 weeks of being wild and out in the wild, having to fend for itself, not having food given to it, its body starts to transform. It's a very strange animal. Yeah.
So do they know how to fend for themselves and eat and all of that? Like
I think instincts take over.
Yeah.
They get desperado. I mean, whatever instincts are still left in their genes.
They're fasting and ketosis brings it out of them.
Yeah. Well, they eat a lot of carbs, I think, right? But they'll eat everything. I mean, that's the thing about, again, ground nesting birds get decimated. Everything in front of them. I mean, and for agriculture, for places where they have farms, they're absolutely devastating. They cause millions and millions of dollars worth of damage. But the idea that you can leave all animals alone, like, well, you won't be able to go outside. You'll have a very dangerous environment.
Right.
Like the mountain lion issue is a big issue in California, and right now it's pretty much under control, kinda. There's good things to it too, though. Like one of the good things to it is that we don't have deer ticks. We don't have a lot of ticks out here like they do on the East Coast because the East Coast doesn't have mountain lions.
Right.
So because of that, and they don't have nearly as many coyotes. And see, coyotes can't really take out a full-size deer. They fuck up the fawns and they kill a lot of the babies. But they can't really, the big deers can kind of fend off a coyote. But they can't fend off a mountain lion.
Gotcha.
And mountain lions jack so many deer that we don't have problems with like Lyme disease out here.
Right.
Like Lyme disease is a huge problem on the East Coast.
I had a friend that got it here a couple years ago.
Out here?
Not fun. No, East Coast.
East Coast, yeah.
Yeah.
East Coast, it's real bad. There was some estimate that there was something in like the Hudson Valley where they did a test of all these different ticks, and some ungodly percentage had Lyme disease. Like more than 50% of the ticks had Lyme disease, which is terrifying.
Yeah. Tall socks.
It's fucking devastating to your immune system. It really wrecks your body. And some people get it and they keep it forever. I mean, it just fucks with their system forever.
Yeah, I had a buddy that had to go on hardcore antibiotics right away the second you get diagnosed with it. You have to do cycles of those to try and get it out. It's really brutal.
Well, I have a friend who got it, and he brought his son. His son got it too, and he brought his son to the doctor, and it was a shitty doctor. The doctor didn't want to believe that the kid had Lyme disease. And then all of a sudden, the kid's face went palsy.
Oh.
He had Bell's palsy, where his mouth started drooling and his lips wouldn't move.
Did that come back, or is that?
Yes.
Okay.
But he had to go on hardcore antibiotics, intravenous antibiotics, and they had to do it for a long time, like a month of hardcore antibiotics.
That's brutal.
Well, it's a scary disease, man, because it also is related to there's that. What it's called, Morgellons disease, which for a long time they thought Morgellons might be some sort of a psychosomatic disorder where people believed they had like fibers going out of their skin and they're itching themselves constantly, and they would bring these fibers to doctors to examine. They said, my body's growing these fibers.
Weird.
Yeah, but it wasn't really going on. What was going on was that the fibers were like carpet fibers and things that were stuck to their skin. And so I interviewed this guy who was a Morgellons sufferer, and he was also a doctor. So it was kind of fascinating to get his perspective on it. And he was very frustrated by the way the medical establishment treats this disease, because they were treating it like it's like a completely psychological disorder. And he's like, I don't think so. He goes, I think there's a neurotoxicity to this disease. And that one of the things about this disease was a vast majority of the people who had Morgellons also had Lyme disease. So what he thinks, and there's not enough people that have it, but what he thinks is Lyme disease affects your brain. There's some sort of a neurotoxicity to this Lyme disease when it gets to some people. Another thing he said, when you get Lyme disease, like you have a tick that gives you this disease, and the tick carries it in his body and gives it to you. He goes, it's not like it's giving it to you in a syringe and it's a pure form of this disease.
Right.
He's like, you're getting a variety of different pathogens along with that. And when he was describing it to me, I was like, oh, this totally makes sense. It's probably just a very small sample size of people who have this problem. But the people who have it, man, they get fucking crazy.
So do you go out to the East Coast at all then? Do you avoid all the ticks?
No, I go, but I'll spray stuff.
Yeah.
And there's clothing that they can that they've designed for people that are in those areas that you make sure.
Like socks up to like the belt line kind of thing?
Yeah, and but you can get bit even through socks. It's really pants and boot gaiters and all these different things to make sure that they don't get in the crevices. And if you come in contact with an animal that has it, you have to be really careful. That make sure those ticks don't come off and get onto you, and you got to be careful. It's no joke.
Yeah, that's not fun.
But it's just so scary because it fucks with your immune system, and it really, depending upon how bad you get it and who you are and what your makeup is, some people just have a really nasty adverse reaction to it. As a matter of fact, my friend's dad got it from a vaccine. They used to give a vaccine for Lyme disease, and they don't do it anymore.
Because it could turn into full-blown?
Exactly.
That's the stuff you always worry about.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things like,
It's like the people that get the flu shot. Every once in a while, someone comes down with a full-blown flu. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was always the argument about vaccines, too. Like, people were always saying, there's always this thing like, hey, vaccines give people autism, vaccines do this, and then there's the other camp that says vaccines are harmless. Well, it's never harmless to shoot a chemical in your body. It's harmless the vast majority of the time. It's beneficial the vast majority of the time.
Right.
But if you're one of those 1 out of 1,000 people, there's not that much comfort in the fact that your brain gets fucking fried because they tried some experimental fucking weird vaccine on you.
Do you do any of that stuff? Do you do any of the flu shots every year? Or?
No, I don't do flu shots. But
I did it this year, and I came down with the flu. I got decimated. I'm one of those guys that has a really strong immune system until I don't. and then I'm like out for like a month. Like I'm like licking my fingers all the time, and like when you just feel invincible. Like I haven't gotten sick for like
Right.
8-10 months, and I don't wash my hands sometimes, and it's disgusting. But then I just went down hard this year.
Well, there's so many factors, right? It's like health, sleep,
Yeah,
diet.
I think I was doing too much cold therapy stuff.
Cold therapy, like Wim Hof stuff?
Yeah, Wim Hof stuff.
Too much?
Too much. I was talking to Rhonda Patrick, who you've had on the show before, about this, and just too many stressors, because that's a stressor.
Mm-hmm.
You have green tea as a stressor, you have turmeric as a stressor, you have exercise as a stressor, and if you're doing that every single day, and I was doing
Right.
the cold stuff, 5-6 days a week,
Whoa.
along with not talking cryo, but like ice cold showers. And then along with exercising and interval training and everything
But
else.
your ice cold showers, you're Northern California, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
This is actually in New York, but
Okay.
they were really
In the
cold.
winter?
My gym has a freeze. I don't know why, but there's showers when you turn to the cold setting. I'm lucky. At home, I don't have that. I go to the gym, and on the cold setting, I put my hands, as I'm washing my hair under the cold shower, and my hands are numb within 45 seconds. Like, it's
Wow.
really, really cold.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, New York has some fucking severe cold winter.
Yeah.
And you get that cold water in the winter. That's real cold
Yeah.
water.
Oh, I
But
love
when
it.
People
Feels so good.
talk about cold water in California. I'm like, it's kind of cold.
Right.
Unless you're going to a glacier river. And,
Yeah, I'm
and
so
climbing
bummed
in.
when I come out here, because I go and I stay at a hotel or something, and the first thing I do when I get in the hotel is turn on cold setting in the shower just to see what we're dealing with, and it's all weak.
Yeah.
You have to go do proper cryo if you want to do that.
Well, it's great after yoga in the winter. Like you can actually get pretty cold water here in like January in the winter, but like after a hot yoga class, it feels unbelievably cold.
Yeah.
Like you can't breathe. Like, it's like probably more of a reaction even than cryo.
Oh, interesting.
With cryo's weird because it's cold as fuck, but it's dry.
Right.
So you get in there and there's something
That's
that's
like when they talk about the desert. They're like, it's a dry heat. Like, it's a dry
Yeah.
cryo.
Well, that's California's heat too in comparison to like
Right.
Texas. Like have you ever been to Houston in July?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's brutal.
It's like trying to breathe through. It's like you're getting waterboarded.
Right.
Like
Nonstop.
Yeah, it's like a hot fucking wet blanket on your face. But there's a definite difference in that cold. That's where you're not getting wet. Like Wim Hof actually prefers ice baths.
Right.
He thinks that ice baths are better for you, and the way he describes it, better for your spirit. Yeah.
Yeah, I've done the ice baths a few times. That was week 10 for me on his course. I went and got 10 bags of ice from the corner store, filled up my bathtub with cold water, and then put all 10 bags of ice in there, submerged myself up to my neck, and did that for 15 minutes.
Wow. Did you get anything out of it?
I will say I'm a huge believer in just cryo and cold therapy in general, in that my mood is elevated. It's more than anything else. It's my mood.
Yeah,
And I find myself like I'm generally a really happy guy. Like we all have our ups and downs, as it were, but this kind of just raises the bar an additional, I would say, like 20%.
Yeah.
And so you have a higher high, if that makes sense. You're not always going to stay pegged up there and be like a whole new person, but it's just different. It's amazing. It's been a game changer for me. And so I've gotten really deep on the research side. Different than Rhonda. Rhonda goes the science route. I go into the history. So I've been researching people that have done this for hundreds of years now and their protocols and what they've done.
What have you found?
I'm not ready to release it yet.
Oh, how dare you?
So I've
You tease.
No, I've been doing a ton of research. And I'm either going to put out like a big PDF on it or a little mini ebook or something that I'll give away. I don't know, but
So you can't give us like a taste?
well, a good taste would be. Let me think here. There's some people in Russia that have done it for a long time, hundreds of years, and I got a hold of their original documents and had them translated so I could figure out what the protocol is.
Well, they do banya and then freezing water.
That's right.
Yeah, Fedor Emelianenko, like probably the greatest heavyweight UFC or MMA rather fighter of all time. He was a Pride heavyweight champion. You know who he is?
No.
That was his thing. He would do the banya when they beat each other with those eucalyptic branches.
Right. I've done that a
They
ton
get
of times.
Whacked by the branches.
I haven't done the
and
branches, but I've watched it being done. It's fascinating.
looks cool.
It does look cool.
I bet it would be refreshing. They're not hurting each other.
No, they just slap you around with some
Yeah.
branches.
And then they climb from the hot sauna. They climb into the water. But I always thought of it as just like something that makes you feel a little bit better. But when you read and listen to Rhonda and her research on sauna and 40% less mortality across the board from all factors, whether it's cancer, disease, heart attack, all these different things. You're like, what?
Yeah, it's
40%
crazy.
drop in mortality? Like, that's incredible. And then she talks about the actual physical measurable responses to sauna, to extreme heat shock proteins, and then also cold shock proteins. You realize, like, oh, there's something really going on here.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can feel it after a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
For me, I've had friends do one, and they're like, it's too cold. I can't do this. And I'm like, you don't understand. It's not about just that one time. I don't know about for you, but it was about week 2 to week 3 where all of a sudden I just woke up and I'm like, wait a second. I feel like I'm 16 again, or just like a little bit. My mood was just crazy good.
Well, what does she call it?
Norepinephrine.
Norepinephrine. That's a weird word. Norepinephrine.
Yeah.
That stuff, that feeling that you get, is very tangible. It's like a drug. It's almost like like getting just a tiny taste of pot. Just a little. Just a little.
It's actually how
I
I brought that up in our podcast that I did with her. It's like you're at a concert and you have like a little hitter, and then you're like, whoa, okay, all right, music's a little bit better.
Just a little. Yeah. Yeah, it does. It makes the sun feel better. It's great. And also for aches and pains, and for someone who trains a lot, the measurable effect that they found as far as like reducing the inflammatory markers in the blood. You can feel that. You can absolutely feel the response to that when you do it like a week or 2 in a row.
Yeah, that's right. So do you know that cold therapy used to be like it was used as a treatment for insanity? Did you know that back in the day?
How'd they do that?
So Van Gogh, when he cut his ear off and they put him in an insane asylum, they forced him to do 2 weekly 2-hour-long sessions of cold therapy. And he writes about it. This is a little teaser of some of the research I've been doing. He writes about it in his letters to friends. And so his letters are documented online, and you can find the Van Gogh letters. And then I've dug into all of his letters and found any mention of cold therapy and what it's done to his mood. It's fascinating.
And what was he saying?
He was just saying that, I mean, you could look it up. He was just saying that he was a big believer and he's feeling so much better.
Wow.
And then I found pictures of the tub that they used to use. So what they would do is you would lay down in a bathtub and they would put this like wood cover over the tub, but just with your head sticking out. So almost like a guillotine kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Is it guillotine? What's the one where they chop your head off?
That's guillotine.
Okay. And so they have his head sticking out, and then they would just pour ice cold water through the tub for 2 hours, twice a week.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. It's you can't do anything. You're stuck there.
Wow.
And they would do this to treat insanity, and it worked.
Wow.
And then, of course, drugs came along and everything else, and then all this just gets forgotten. But that's one example. Another one is I found some monks out in Japan that study this form of meditation in Buddhism, where they sit underneath waterfalls, ice cold waterfalls, and they meditate. And I found their chants and all of that go along with that. So that's something I'm going to put in this document as well. So
do you know who Hickson Gracie is?
That sounds familiar.
Hickson Gracie is
not the grappler Gracie.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Hoist Gracie's the guy who won the original UFCs, but he had his brother. His brother Hickson is almost like a mythical creature in the world of martial arts because he's universally hailed as the greatest jiu-jitsu fighter of all time. Like universally.
This is the guy they call like the Michael Jordan of
jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Because like jiu-jitsu is one of those things where there's so many good guys, it's so hard to figure out who's the best. Like this guy might beat that guy, and then next year that guy can beat this guy, but this is Hickson. He's also a legit yogi. Like he practices yoga on a regular basis.
I've heard about this guy.
He's amazing, and he's actually been on the podcast too, and I had a chance to talk to him.
That's the buffest yogi I've ever seen in my life.
He was very buff, especially when he was young. Well, he was a mixed martial arts champion, a Brazilian jiu-jitsu champion, but he was also the champion. He was in that movie, The Hulk. He was the guy who was teaching Ed Norton how to control his
crazy.
his calm, control his anger to try to keep him from turning into the Hulk. But there's this documentary called Choke, and it documents Hickson competing in the 1994 Japan Valley Tudo. He went over to, was it 96? Maybe 96. I don't remember what year it was. But he went over to Japan and competed in this big mixed martial arts tournament. And when he was over there, part of the time that he spent was climbing into these freezing cold rivers and getting under these waterfalls and meditating.
Oh, that's awesome.
And there's video of him doing it. And like his other family members try to do it. They get in the water for a couple seconds and like, fuck this!
Right.
Ah! There he is. He's in there doing these yogi breathing exercises.
Yeah, that's what Wim teaches, is a lot of that breathing to go along with. You have to be really, really careful.
Yeah.
There's been people that have passed out doing the breathing exercises because they're so deep and it's really like giving you all that oxygen.
Yeah.
I put an oxygen meter on my finger when I do the breathing exercises, and I take it, I hover right around 98. Like no one's ever really at 100 all the time. Some people, weird people are, but I can bring myself up to 100%.
Now, what is it measuring? This
The
thing on your
oxygen,
finger?
the level in your blood.
Just pure oxygen?
Yeah, it's like you know those little meters that they clip on you when you go to the doctor's office. You can buy those for $15 on Amazon.
So, but how's it? Was it tapping into your blood somehow? Like, how is it measuring?
It's a little LED light that it shoots into your finger.
And through looking at the LED through your finger, like the same way, like your phone can measure your heart rate.
Right. So this does heart
Okay.
rate along with blood oxygen level.
How the fuck does it know your blood
I
oxygen
have no
level?
idea. I think magic and things.
God damn, what a wonderful world we live in.
And it's available on Amazon Prime for $15. Not only is it
One
amazing, it's also will be here in 1 hour if you use Postmates.
I'm fucking addicted to one clicking. I'm so addicted. That is the fall
We
of
live in the
Western
future.
civilization. The people that run those UPS stores that get packages delivered to them and shit like that, they did not know what they were signing up
No.
for when one clicking came around. Like, whoa.
Their suicide rates have to be just like through the roof. Like you got to be hating life.
I guess. Maybe they're just really into packages and they love it.
I would love that someone has like a package fetish. There's like, fuck yeah, more Amazon's coming.
People are into weird shit.
They
man.
are into weird shit.
I mean, I don't think there's ever one thing that people have been into where I was like, I can't believe it.
You know how there's those people that get into video games like, you know, Farmville and all that, and they spend like hundreds of thousands of dollars. There has to be the equivalent on Amazon, right?
Oh, yeah.
There have to be people that just want to click the shit out of Amazon every single day.
Well, when my grandfather was dying, my grandfather, when he was really old, after my grandmother died in particular, he was like super depressed, and he got addicted to catalogs.
Ugh. It's really sad.
Yeah.
They like, my dad, before he passed away, he started, you know, as he was getting into his 70s, started doing just more QVC shopping.
Yeah.
And just stuff just shows up. And you're just like, Dad, why'd you buy that? And granted, I mean, he always had... you always get cool stuff. I was always like, oh, that's a cool way to slice tomatoes or whatever it may be that showed up. But it was like, you don't need it. And I think old people, as their brain starts to go, they become more susceptible to that kind of stuff. They just buy everything.
Yeah, that's why those late night televangelists are so dangerous.
Super
divisive.
dangerous.
It's just, they're preying on people with faulty mechanisms.
Right. And then they call in and donate $100 or whatever, and they think they're going to save their child from diabetes or who knows, you know.
Well, they found a method a few years back that was really troubling. And what it was is they would prey on the poorest of poor people. And what they would explain is they would say, I know you don't have any money. I know your bills are due. I know that you need this money. But if you send that money, God will multiply that money tenfold. And they would have all these people that would say, my rent was due. My car payment, they were going to repossess my car, but I sent $100. And the whole audience is clapping and cheering. I gave $100 to God.
That's the
and then
worst.
all of a sudden I hit that lottery ticket. And that lottery ticket, I said, good Lord, it's $500. It's true. Jesus gave me $500. And everybody's clapping and cheering. And then he would go on to another story. Meanwhile, this guy's got a fucking $5,000 suit on. He's probably driving a Bentley. It's dark.
Yeah.
Because they're preying on people that have just faulty mechanisms. Their brain is not working right.
Right. And they're their lowest possible point, and then you're just kicking them while they're down. It's really, really sad.
The old ones are worried about death. I mean, death is imminent. It's on the way. The body's failing. And as the body's failing, here's some guy on television that's saying a bunch of things that, and I think there's like sort of a window of cognitive function that starts to close, and it's very hard to perceive. And you're on the outside, you have to kind of like talk to them a lot to see like, oh, your ability to think is really compromised right now.
Right.
But they talk and they seem fairly normal.
Right.
But if you're around them a lot, then you kind of get the full picture of what's going on. And those types of people, like, man, that's what they're going to prey on.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. I don't know if you ever get forwarded those email chains that like people send around. My mom is obsessed with this kind of stuff in her 70s, and it's just like, people saying that something is a fact, especially in politics as well. when it's just made up. And they're just like, well, I got it in email and it said that it was from CNN. I'm like, Mom, did you click the link? Did it actually take you to CNN? Did it actually say that in the article? It's just difficult because they believe anything that is on the internet.
Yeah, and there's also, obviously confirmation bias. Like you could always find a forum that will tell you that the world is flat. There's a whole flat Earth community out there.
Right.
They've openly mocked me. They're angry at me.
Are you serious?
Yes. Oh yeah, they've made videos.
How big is the flat Earth community?
Look, if you stop and think about the sheer numbers of people,
right,
just in this country, just let's go with America. There's 300 million people in this country plus, right? At least 1 out of 100 is a fucking idiot.
Right.
At least. So you have 3 million fucking idiots just in this country, and out of those fucking idiots, you can. I have a friend who thinks the Earth is flat.
That really fully believes
Max Eberly, I'm talking to you, bitch. He's crazy. He's a great guy, great pool player, professional pool player. Thinks the fucking world is flat. He was arguing with my friend Justin about whether Earth was flat. I go, Max, there's all these fucking pictures. He goes, I think those pictures have been fake. So everyone's in on it. From the beginning of time, since they started taking pictures of planets, all those planets, the sun, the moon, Jupiter, all that shit just happens to be round, and you're not buying it. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
You just have to feel compassion for those people then, right?
It's flat. It's circular, but it's flat.
Something's not right upstairs.
Well, I think people love to be the person who discuss. I think there's something going on in the human brain where the human brain has always been curious and we're trying to innovate. And there's like a part of the brain that has this insatiable desire to create better things and to innovate and to constantly find a better way.
Oh, for sure.
In that, we're always constantly searching for secrets as well. Oh, well, if you do that, then it works. Hey, you take this flint and you bang it against this steel, you can make a fire. So we find these things. And then we're always trying to find the things that people are hiding. Like, what are they hiding from us? Like,
right.
What kind of secrets? Then you find out about some secrets that are true and some conspiracies that absolutely do exist, whether it's William Randolph Hearst, whether it's fucking Rockefeller trying to keep alcohol from being legal because he wants to protect the gasoline market. Like all these like real conspiracies that you find out, and they fuel the speculation. And then they want to be the one that tells you, that the sky is falling. Right. They want to be the one.
There's no way around that. It's just going to happen till the end of days.
It's fascinating though. It's a weird aspect of people. It's also.
But I bet you believe in a few of those as well. I mean, like, what is your take on UFOs?
I don't think it's impossible that we have been visited by no evidence.
You don't think it's impossible? So you do think it's possible?
I think it's absolutely possible that we could have been visited by a life form from another planet at one point in time, but there's no evidence. Zero.
So you don't think any of the photos, any of the videos, those objects moving? How did they... My question is
nothing I've seen some objects that move in space that are fascinating.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Like so fast, and you're like, how did that jump across?
I mean, that's amazing to me. I don't know what that is. But there's also some weird shit that absolutely exists that they can prove on Earth, like ball lightning. Have you ever seen ball lightning?
No.
There's videos of ball lightning. Ball lightning is like some weird phenomenon where lightning, instead of coming in a down to the ground, it can fly around like a ball.
Weird.
Yeah.
So that's probably half of the videos.
A good percentage.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them that are just stars where people are just retarded. And they look, I saw it move.
Yeah, I mean, there's been fighter pilots that have launched missiles at stars. Or planets or whatever. It's like, there was something about that.
Venus, people think that Venus is a spaceship. And I think there's also absolutely been experimental aircrafts.
Right.
When we were filming Fear Factor in... way out in the middle of the desert in Palmdale, which is near Edwards Air Force Base. Sure. And they had the stealth bombers. It was like right after September 11th. And you watch those things fly over. You swear to God you're in Star Wars. Yeah. Like, okay, that's a spaceship. Darth Vader lives on that.
Right.
He's flying that. Like, this is not a person in there because it looks like a starship.
I've spent a lot of time out in the desert. I used to work at the Nevada test site out by Area 51.
You did?
Way back in 2000.
What did you do out there?
Well, I was into technology, and this was kind of when I was studying computer science, and so I was working out there. Pretty low-level job, but I had to bounce around between the different areas. So the test site is divided into 50-plus areas.
Right.
And
it's like Groom Lake, like that area?
Yeah, Groom Lake is one of them. That's Area 51. That's the best known, but there's so many other areas. And there's different things on every plot of land. And so there's one called BEEF, which is the Big Explosive Experimental Facility. There's a lot of subcritical nuclear testing that's done underground, so it doesn't break any treaties, but they can figure out the yield based on the tests that they do. So they can still do kind of nuclear tests, but it's not actually producing, but they still close off all the areas when they do it. And then there's every 3-letter agency you can imagine rents out a piece of the test site to do tests and experiments.
Wow.
So it was my job to set up all the, at the time, Novell networking equipment between areas so that they could talk to each other.
What year was this?
2000, just before that, 99, 2000.
And what was the year where they had to admit that that was actually a base because they had to expand the area that was forbidden to trespass on?
Yeah, I'm not sure what year.
I think it was in the 90s because they had denied it forever.
They did.
Like,
and they denied it when I was there.
Yeah?
But it was so obvious. Like, you would go into the... it was weird because they were just... You would go into the... Well, first of all, you couldn't go to any area unless you had a reason to be there, and you also had to have a proper security clearance. So I had what was called a Q clearance, and then even if I had, which was top secret, but even if I had top secret, unless I had a request, and then if I went into an area that had sensitive information, I would also have to be escorted at the same time.
Wow.
But some of the areas that weren't really classified, they were just secret areas, like the power facility, for example. You'd walk in and they'd show power clearly going to Groom Lake. Like you could see the line going straight up to Groom Lake, but they would say it didn't exist, but it would show the line going up there, and it's just like, that's so silly. Like, why would you even show that if that was the case, you know?
Well, I think they probably feel like no one can go there, so what are you going to do?
Right.
It's easier to deny it. Go fuck off. It's not real.
Yes. The Air Force took that over when I was there, so the Air Force was running it. It was Department of Energy, which handles all of our nuclear program. But then the Air Force. And then there's extra guard gates before you get there. So when you head into Mercury, Nevada, you get through one guard gate, which is show your badge. Guard comes on the bus, touches your badge, looks at your ID, all that good stuff.
Touches it.
Touches it.
Why
Has
do
to
they
physically touch it. I don't know. It was just a thing. It was a requirement. They had wanted to feel that it was real because it was just like laminated a certain way. So I don't know why they had to touch it. And then once you get through the front gate there, then to go into further areas, you could drive out there, but there'd be other gates if there was secret information going on between where you left and where you were headed. So if you wanted to get to Groom Lake, there was one other guard station just outside of the Sedan crater. If you look up Sedan crater on Google, there's this massive crater that was done via nuclear test, and right past that is one more guard station.
So it's severely compartmentalized.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
And then an area can go dark, and then Department of Defense can come in and take it over and just do tests there for 3 months, and then it's dark again, and they just destroy everything they were working on.
Now, like this massive crater from the nuclear test, like
they're all over the place. So the test site is just filled with craters.
Fucking craters. That's so crazy.
Yeah. And you can stand on the edge of there. They have the little platform there. It's kind of fun.
Well, they did some pretty extensive nuclear tests out there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We had to wear a little dosimeter around our neck
to make sure you're okay.
Well, it wasn't real time, sadly. So you would send it in and get it analyzed afterwards. And they tell you how much radiation exposure you had.
Oh, fucking Christ.
But, we were all going, and it was so mellow back then. It had already kind of all cleared out.
That's so spooky, though.
It is spooky.
That there's all these craters all over the place where they were just like, what
and you can just drive up to the edge. Yeah. Drive to the edge, get out.
Now, when you were there, was there anything that made you think that the government had any knowledge of extraterrestrial aircrafts? Was there any whispers of it? Was there...
There was whispers of a few things, but they weren't like ET related stuff. It was just it was government projects, like other secret test projects that were going on.
So you think that's what a lot of people were seeing when they're talking about like unidentified flying objects?
I truly believe, even though this isn't, I never heard of anything, but I don't know, there were friends that we had that worked out in those areas, and I think they were experimenting just based on the skill sets that were going out there on kind of anti-gravity related stuff.
Ooh.
So that's kind of what... Groom Lake wasn't being used at that point in time for any more research and development. I think all that had been, I think it was all kind of underground because a lot of that is underground. It's an underground base as well. So there's hangars out there and there's a really long runway. But that was all for testing that was done in like the the 70s and 80s that were done out there.
Fuck, man, I would love to go see what an underground base looks like.
Yeah, that
It
would
must
be crazy.
be state of the art.
You would think that, but a lot of this is underfunded stuff.
Really?
I went underground one time in one of the areas, and they make you take this respirator training before you go underneath there. So you have to know how to like use these emergency packs in case
There's no air.
there's no air. First of all, it's really cold. It gets really cold immediately as you start to go underground.
Like
and
how cold?
like where I was wearing a jacket. Like it was
40?
I don't know. It was so long ago, but it was where I had to wear like a lightweight jacket.
Like a meat locker or like a refrigerator?
Well, it was once we got down in there. It was kind of during when you go down in the shaft. That was when it was chilly. But once we got in there, it was a little bit more climate controlled. But they go down underneath the ground to do some of these experiments, and so that's part of the reason why I had to go down there.
Whoa.
The other big thing out there is really awesome. It's called the DAFT, the Device Assembly Facility. DAF. You can Google that one as well. This is where they assemble nuclear weapons in the United States, which is just nuts. So that was another fun one to check out. That was a super, super guarded facility. That one was extremely hard to get into.
So these underground bases are underfunded.
Well, this one in particular was used for experiments, so it wasn't like a permanent thing.
Right.
A lot of these, so for example, when they did the subcritical nuclear tests, they would have you go all the way underground, they'd set up all the test equipment, they would seal it with concrete, they would detonate it, and then they would close off the hole. So it was always locked down in just underneath there. And so that's kind of just underground forever.
That sounds like such a crazy way to do it.
I mean, they just didn't have the funds, or they're not going to go in there and dig up a bunch of busted equipment that already detonated. So it's like,
Well, it seems like a halfway thought out idea. Like someone goes, well, how are we going to contain the explosion? Okay. This is what we're going to do. We're going to blow it up and then we're going to seal it off. Okay. And then they just went with it. Like, and nobody came along and go, hey, fuckhead, you can't do that.
right.
No, that makes that place like toxic for 100,000 years.
they this is a facility that's the size of Rhode Island. I mean, it's massive.
There's so many wacky nuclear experiments that they did between 1940 and like when they stopped. There's one of them is the most bizarre. It's called Operation Starfish Prime, where they detonated a nuclear bomb in the atmosphere. They shot a nuclear bomb up into the magnetosphere just kind of to see what would happen.
Why would you do that?
They wanted to see what would happen. I mean, I don't know what their experiment. I mean, you would have to actually talk to the original scientists because then the fact that we know about it at all, it's fucking insane that they did this. But they shot it like up into the Van Allen radiation belts and just launched a fucking bomb up there. I mean, I don't know, to see if they could blow a hole through it. This was when they were doing manned space missions too, so they might have been trying to blow a hole so to make it less radiation up there when they're sending astronauts through it. Like,
crazy.
Who the fuck knows? But the fact that they didn't know what was going to happen and they decided to try it anyway.
Right.
Just like, okay, we'll just shoot a fucking megaton bomb up into the atmosphere.
The worst case scenario, though, is really bad, right? Like
really bad. Yeah, like fucking 1 million people die of cancer or something. I mean, who the hell knows? What is this
I
one?
don't know. I was asking, is that a real picture? It says that Operation Starfish happened during Operation, what do you say, Starfish?
Starfish Prime,
Yeah,
it's
it happened
called.
during Operation Dominic. And this picture pops up.
Well, it's probably real. I mean, they did so many of them. One of my favorite ones of all time was one where they did it in the ocean, and they really didn't know what kind of a reaction they would have inside the ocean from a nuclear bomb.
Oh, I've seen that one.
And-
They have video footage of that, don't they?
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely. Jamie, see if you can see that detonated nuclear bomb in the ocean. Find that. But it was beyond what they thought the impact was going to be. Like, they actually had battleships stationed
Right. I saw the
around the area,
battleships,
and they
yeah.
got wrecked. I mean, I don't know how many people died in it, or if there was even people on those battleships.
I think they were dummy ships, right? I thought that was
Hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully. Because when it happened, I mean, what in the fuck? I mean, that water goes a mile high
That's
up
so
into the
crazy.
sky. It's insane. And this is not the best video. There's a way better video where there is a bunch of ships around it, and you see the ships just get overwhelmed by the water. Here's one of them. Look at that. Like, there's a perspective shot, because you kind of get a sense. I mean, fuck, man. Nuclear power is insane, and nuclear bombs are way more insane. The idea that you're going to split atoms and it's going to cause a reaction that is just so almost inconceivably powerful to the average person. Like what could be when we have like sort of a metric in our head about, okay, this is a firecracker,
Right.
and then this is an M80. Here's the video. Yeah, this is the big one. I mean, it's a mile into the air. Here is an M80. Here is a stick of dynamite. Okay, here's a nuclear bomb. Like,
Wow.
it's so exponentially more powerful than anything that we can kind of wrap our brains around. And this is also, what was this? What year was this, Jamie? This happened 1950 something? 58. Imagine what they have now.
Right.
I mean, the 2016 version of that. I mean, there's just no more water.
Right.
The ocean's gone. The ocean becomes a Sahara desert.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, humans are bananas, man. We're a weird little animal. And how long did you work out there at this test facility?
I was out there for about 2.5, close to 3 years.
Were you familiar at all with Robert Lazar?
Yes.
What did you think about that guy?
I had heard that he was a contractor, and the story wasn't all that.
Right.
I heard that the area he talks about, S3, I heard that's true. That is a real thing. But I don't know about his stories. His whole thing was folding space and time, and yeah, I don't know about that.
Well, he's one of those guys that if you're a dummy and you listen to him, I mean, you go, oh, well, he's making sense, and he seems so confident. Like, I listen to
Right.
him. I don't know what the fuck he's saying. Like, he's talking about magnetic drives, because I'm a dummy. So I'm listening to this magnetic drive talk and talking about these spaceships. I'm like, oh, my God, this guy's telling the truth.
Right.
Because I don't know any better. But if I'm sure if I was a real physicist and I listened to him, I'd be like, oh, that's not how it works. What? You saw what? What did you see? No, that doesn't work like that. You're
Please
just making
have him
things
on the
up.
show with
Robert Lazar?
Yeah, with
A
someone.
physicist?
Exactly.
I don't even know if he gives interviews anymore. I mean, I haven't heard about the guy forever.
Yeah, he was. They were saying he was a contractor working for, was it DOD or something like that, or
I don't remember.
it was weird because he was never in any of the official catalogs or books or anything like that. So his story is a little bit, I don't know.
Well, also, one of the guys is a guy named Stanton Friedman, who's one of the premier ufologists. He's actually like a highly educated guy that's very skeptical of most UFO claims, but still believes it's possible. He did some research into the guy's background and believes that he lied about his education and lied about like different places that he worked. But I don't know. It's not. It's fun to pay attention to, but it's one of those things where you're like, man, I'm not really going to get a resolution here.
Right.
So it's just
For me, it's the once a year, 11:30 at night YouTube video fest.
Yes.
Where I just sit back and I'm just like, I watch like 3 hours of YouTube videos. I'm like, oh my God, UFOs. And then I go to bed the next day and then it happens again in a year or so.
Yeah. Well, I think for sure it's possible that there's life out there in the universe that is as intelligent as us. But it's also possible that we're the only one. And the reason why I think it's possible that we're the only one is there's hundreds of millions of life forms on Earth, but we're the only one with an Apple. We're the only one with iPhones. We're the only one that knows how to use the internet. We're the only one. I mean, out of these hundreds of millions of life forms on this Goldilocks planet.
Well, it would make, oh, you mean out of just our planet?
Yes, out of our planet.
I thought you were saying out of all planets we're the only ones that use an iPhone.
No.
I was like, well, it kind of makes sense. We kind of invented it.
But I mean, out of this planet, it's not like we go into the fucking Congo and we find some strange species that knows how to send emails to each other.
Right.
We're the only one. It's
Yeah, but
very
then
rare.
again, dolphins,
Yes,
they do weird shit with each other. They can
they
talk and
most
whatnot.
certainly do.
We
Well, not
can't.
only that-
We can't do most of that stuff.
Well, not only that, we don't understand what they're saying.
Right. Which is kind of weird because we're
very
supposed to
weird.
be
Yeah.
the top being here. And
Are you familiar at all with John Lilly?
no.
John Lilly is the guy who created the sensory deprivation tank.
Oh yes, I've done that.
And he was also a pioneer of interspecies communication. He used to do acid and get in this
he
sensory
did-
deprivation tank next to a dolphin tank. And he tried to communicate with the dolphins. And
Did that work?
who the fuck knows?
It sounds like it kind of could.
It probably kind of could. Maybe at the moment, while he was tripping balls, floating, and hearing, he probably kind of got a sense of what they were saying.
Right.
I was in a tank once, and I swore that it was an experience that the imagination is a very strange thing. Imagination is very weird because it's a lot of people, when you think of the imagination, you think of, oh, he's making things up in his mind that aren't real. That's like the standard way of looking at the imagination. And really like pragmatic, hard-nosed people will go, all he's doing is sitting around all day imagining things. But imagination is responsible for that clock, this computer, the coffee mugs, how to use ceramics, microphones. Every fucking object on Earth is all created out of the imagination. And I was in a sensory deprivation tank, and I had this experience where I was in the jungle, and not only was I listening to these people speak this strange language, but
you were
I
sober.
Understood.
You weren't on ayahuasca or anything?
No, I was high as fuck. I forget what it was on. It was most likely edible pot. Edible pot is my drug of choice in sensory deprivation tanks, because I think edible pot, first of all, is one of the most underrated psychedelic compounds. I just think people don't realize that there is a profound difference between THC and what happens when your liver processes it, which is 11-hydroxy metabolite, which is 4 to 5 times more psychoactive than THC, which is why a lot of people think when they eat pot cookies that it was laced.
Right.
So like, oh man, something was in there.
Right.
No, that's what happens when you eat cannabis. That's what's responsible for the Vedic texts, a lot of the ancient Hindu documents, like all of their yogi practices, like a lot of that was about eating hash.
Really?
Eating hash has been a tradition amongst people for thousands and thousands of years.
Wait, you eat the hash, like the sticky hash? You eat that?
Yeah, you can eat that for sure.
I didn't know that. I thought you had to smoke it because it's already been broken down. So it's
especially when you cook it. If you cook it in something fat soluble, then and then you eat it, like that's how you
right.
get it.
Well, that's just like butter with wheat or whatever.
Right. And even in candy form, I don't know exactly how they're making it, but you're eating it, So it's whatever it is that allows your body to process it. But when you do that inside a sensory deprivation tank, like on a pretty decent sized dose, you have some wild ass experiences.
I bet.
And one of mine was I was in the jungle and I was with these people, these indigenous people, and wherever this jungle was, and they were talking. And not only did I understand what they were saying, but I was thinking in their language. It was very brief. And then I realized what I was doing. And then I woke up, and then I could never bring myself back to that state again. But I remember that this experience, which probably only lasted a couple minutes at most, was sensational. It was very strange. And I was trying to think, like, maybe this is like some sort of like a deeply tucked away genetic memory from back when, the great ancestors of whoever was, if you have to think, any person that's alive today, somehow or another, your genes must be traced back to ancient people. There's only one way.
Sure.
I mean, you didn't come out of a fucking 3D printer 6 weeks ago. Like,
right.
You are a product of hundreds of millions of years of life, right? So if that is the case, some of that is probably tucked away inside your genes.
Interesting.
And there's this guy named
So you're thinking
Rupert
this unlocks
Sheldrake.
it?
Well, I think it's possible that there are little, like, you know how sometimes someone will bring something up? Like someone will say, hey, man, you remember that guy we went to high school with? And then they go, oh, yeah. And then all of a sudden you remember Mike.
Right.
And then you remember Mike's weird car. And you remember Mike's
Right.
girlfriend who beat him up. And
had that person not given you that cue,
Yeah.
it would have been gone forever.
I think there are folders. And one of the reasons why I say this is because I have very obvious folders. Like when I'm talking about certain things, like say if we're talking about, whatever, so psychedelic drugs or monkeys or anything, it's like my mind has like a bunch of information that it can draw upon. But if you bring up something that I normally would be very knowledgeable about, like maybe mixed martial arts, like start asking me about certain fights or fighters, I have to go, oh yeah, hold on. But if I was commentating on a UFC and it came up, it would be there for me. It would be right there. It's like that folder would be open.
Right.
And I'd be able to access it.
So you're just saying it takes a little while for the folder to get open.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes like that has to be your point of focus. I mean, I don't understand memory entirely. I don't necessarily understand how it works and how it varies so much. Like there's sometimes where like, what is that fucking word? What's that fucking word? And then it comes out and you go, yeah, how could I forget that word?
I hate that.
Oh, it's crazy.
It happens all the time. And it's worse as you get older, too.
But what is it? What is it? I mean, what's happened to me my whole life? I don't think it's gotten any better or worse. It's always been that thing. Like, what's that fucking word? And then someone will say it and you go like, yes.
Right.
But what is that? Like, why is memory variable? Like, why does it come and why does it go? And why is it enhanced by certain compounds like paracetam and things along those lines, choline? There's like certain different things that will enhance your ability to memorize things or remember things or recall things. But I think that it's got to be possible that somewhere deep down in our DNA or genome or something, there's some memories. Like, and I think a lot of those memories are instincts. Like Rupert Sheldrake, who's a guy who's been on this podcast before. He's what is he, like evolutionary biologist or something like that? One of his theories was about why children who live in cities are afraid of monsters. And he thinks that there is a deep-seated genetic memory of us being preyed upon by cats, by jaguars and leopards and things along those lines. You know, back when we were, less evolved hominids, and that we were living in the trees, and that these cats are jacking us, and they do it at night, and that's why we're terrified of the night and the darkness and monsters. You know, we think kids that live in inner cities, they should be scared about bullets and crime and car accidents and train derailments and things that are real.
They probably
dangerous.
will be in several thousand years once we've
right. Once that becomes a part of the genome.
Right.
Yeah. Who knows, man? I found that experience being in the tank. It was so real. That was what was bizarre, and it easily could be marijuana plus imagination plus sensory deprivation creates this really.
I mean, that's a good combo.
Yeah, it's
That's
amazing.
pretty strong.
It's amazing.
What do you think about ayahuasca and all these other? It seems like that's the hot thing everyone's doing these days.
Well, it's dimethyltryptamine.
Right.
I mean, that's what ayahuasca is. It's,
right.
If
Which people smoke that on their own.
Yeah. Yeah. I've smoked it a
I've never
bunch
done
of times.
it. Oh, you have?
Yeah. Yeah. I've never done ayahuasca because I've never found anybody that's willing to get it to me without going to the jungle.
You got to do the ceremony.
Yeah. But the DMT experience itself is unbelievably intense. Just DMT itself it's a more powerful version of ayahuasca. Like ayahuasca, from what it's been explained to me for everyone who's done it, is longer and oftentimes more introspective, and it can be more profound even because it lasts longer and you have more time to sort of take in the experience. But as far as the intensity of the experience, it's not as intense as when you smoke DMT.
Interesting.
And smoking DMT is not as powerful as when it's injected intravenously. And that's how they did it with Dr. Rick Strassman out of the University of New Mexico. Did a series of tests, clinical trials on people. Wow. And he documented it in a book called DMT, the Spirit Molecule.
I've heard about that. Isn't there a documentary on that as well?
Yeah, I narrate it.
Oh, you do?
I'm the host of it. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. It's a really interesting documentary because it deals with a lot of scientists and their experience with dimethyltryptamine and trying to understand like what this compound is and why it exists. But the trips that people had when they took it intravenously were like half-hour long, just journeys into insanity, into this.
Like bad insanity?
No. All of them, I believe, afterwards said that it profoundly enhanced their life and their perspective and gave them a view of reality that forever changed the way they look at things, about interactions, life. And I could say that about myself. Like, my experiences with DMT have definitely profoundly changed the way I view possibility, because it's so impossibly dynamic and insane, and it just doesn't seem like anything that you could have ever imagined. And what ayahuasca is an orally active version of DMT, because DMT is insanely common. It's in thousands of different plants. It's in all sorts of different ecosystems all over the world have plants that have DMT, including a lot of grasses like phalaris grasses, which is really common. It's rich in DMT.
But you can't extract it.
Well, you can extract it for sure. Absolutely.
Like,
you have to just know what you're doing. If you're a chemist, it's actually not that difficult. That's the reason why DMT, if you know people who know how to get DMT, the actual raw plants that have DMT, you can't make it legal because there's too many of them.
Interesting.
It's like you would have to make, like, it's one of the, there's some scholars out of Jerusalem that believe that this is the literal interpretation of what Moses was experiencing when experiencing the burning bush and talking to God. They believe that burning bush is the acacia tree, because the acacia tree is very rich in DMT. and extremely common in that part of the world.
So was Moses smoking the
Most
tree?
likely, yeah.
So
Most likely.
if you smoke the acacia tree, do you get the DMT?
I'm sure if you light those trees on fire, you're going to absorb a certain quantity of DMT. It wouldn't be as pure as like extracting it in a lab, breaking it down to the raw DMT crystals, and then freebasing it, which is what you do. That's probably way more intense. But it's entirely likely that there's a method of doing it. Because the method that they found in the Amazon is extremely convoluted. Like what they did was if you eat a plant, right, that has DMT in it, your body produces something called monoamine oxidase that breaks down the dimethyltryptamine in the plant, and you won't experience it psychoactively.
It's just like eating weed. It does nothing unless it's been already pre-broken down.
But even more different because weed has to be like cooked in something in order to activate it.
Right. But if you just eat it straight up,
right,
just like the plant itself, you won't feel anything.
I don't think so.
No, you don't.
But
yeah.
it's supposed to be really good for you, though.
Oh, interesting.
If you eat it, like
Fiber?
juicing it, like it's supposed to be like really rich in phytonutrients and it's supposed to be really rich in CBDs too, which don't necessarily get you high, but are really good for you. And good for inflammation.
Juicing it.
Yeah. No, it's a big thing, man. People juice it. It's really super common. Like wheatgrass juice, but they do it with cannabis. They take the leaves and they throw it in a juicer.
You get those at like the dispensaries here?
No. But I've seen it online. I've never actually seen it in person, but I definitely have seen it online. So what these people have done when they created ayahuasca, and they've been doing this for no one knows how long, but they believe it's been thousands and thousands of years. It's really hard to try to figure out how long they've been doing it. But they take the leaf of one plant, which contains harmine, which is a natural MAO inhibitor, and they take the roots or the vine of another plant, which has the dimethyltryptamine in it, and they boil it in some sort of a
I've
crazy
watched that
concoction.
process, yeah.
So they figured out how to make their own pharmacological solution to absorbing DMT orally.
Which is crazy. Who
And
discovered
amazing.
that?
Well, they say the plants told them how to do it.
Of course they said that.
I don't know if that's wrong. I mean, I just think our view of what a plant is like, well, I talked to my fur and it never says anything.
Right.
You got a plant that's in a fucking plastic cup. I think it's probably analogous to the difference between that little tiny pig that's like a little baby pig and a fucking wild pig who's out there hustling, making shit happen, you know? There's a picture
Making that money.
Put up on my Instagram a few days ago of a wild boar running off with a fawn in its mouth, and it's a very shocking picture because we don't think of pigs as being predators,
right?
But they're opportunists and they absolutely will prey on something if they can catch it. But that image is like as far removed on the spectrum from that little pig, that little tiny pig that's got a guitar in his lap.
Yeah,
like look at this thing.
Wow,
look at that boar. And that is
that pig's not playing guitar.
Yeah, and that's America. That's a boar in America, running off with a deer fawn in its mouth.
Those boars are big.
They're fucking huge.
It's a lot of bacon.
Enormous. They get enormous, and there's ones that they've caught them or killed them that are pushing 1,000 pounds out there in the wild. But I think that is a wild animal, and I think these wild plants that are living in the jungle, that are alive in the rainforest and have been there for thousands of years in this deep canopy of moisture and nutrients and plants and bugs and mammals and cats and all these different things. And then you got these people who live like the Chumani. They're walking barefoot through these fucking woods in Bolivia and throwing fucking spears at monkeys and shit and cooking them over the fire. Like these people have been living like this for thousands of years. They're eating coca leaves and tripping their balls
I've done
off
that.
mushrooms.
That's actually fun. The coca
Coca
leaves.
leaves, yeah. It's supposed to be pretty awesome.
Yeah, you've never tried it before?
I've had the tea.
Yeah.
I've had the coca de mate tea, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I couldn't shut the fuck up. I didn't like that aspect of it.
The leaves are legal. You can buy the leaves.
Can you, though?
You can. I saw them on Amazon, actually.
Yeah, they was fucking DEA hustle.
Well, you need the other compound to go with it. It's a little bit of that lime.
Well, they use baking soda, too.
Yeah, baking soda, yeah. And then you just chew it, and basically it's like having a cup of coffee.
Well, it's supposed to be better for you, and it also it's actually like a healthy plant.
Yeah.
The phytonutrients, the vitamins from the actual leaves of the plant itself, it's actually good for you.
Yeah, I was actually chewing some with a doctor friend of mine, and he's like, "Yeah, it's great. I don't."
So you could just order it?
Yeah, you can just order it.
You need to start ordering it, Jamie. I'm going to do a podcast with a big fucking baseball-sized chaw.
That's exactly what you do.
Yeah.
You put like a little wad in your mouth, and it's just like, just a conversation starter.
I think it's entirely possible that these people that are eating plants that have psychedelic properties to them, whether it's mushrooms, and there's a lot of mushrooms that you can eat, and also in these same areas there's a lot of psilocybin. So they're chewing these psilocybin mushrooms, and they have these ideas of like how to combine these things. You're talking about hundreds of different species of plants, and these fucking guys have figured out how to take these two and combine them in some really crazy involved way.
Yeah.
Where you're boiling it, and what's the explanation? There's no explanation that makes any sense other than the plants gave them the hints.
Yeah, I think that I've always believed, and my wife's a neuroscientist, so we talk about this stuff a lot and debate it, but I've always believed that, we know about the senses that we've documented. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's certain things that we can take that activate other senses that we didn't know were there and allow us to do certain things, like, for example, talk to plants or whatever it may be. It's not going to be I'm having a conversation and it's talking back to me, but it could be a feeling or a vibe or
data, some way
something.
of getting
There's something
data.
else there,
Well, do you know when scientists first found harmine, and I want to say this was in the early 1900s. I forget what year it was, but when they first found harmine, they wanted to call it telepathine. I think it was Psychotria viridis. I think that was the plant that they found it in. I forget what the plant they found it in was, but the compound, whatever it was, had allowed these people, these scientists, to feel like they were experiencing some sort of communal thoughts. And so they wanted to call it telepathine. But because of the fact that once they had isolated the compound and figured out what it was, they realized it had already been named harmine, due to the rules of scientific nomenclature. They decided to just keep that name. But their name for it was going to be telepathy.
Crazy.
Yeah.
You want to hear, this is a somewhat related topic, but I have someone that I met that has a startup that catalogs people's dreams. So they fill out like a little small questionnaire after they have a dream. And something that they've discovered, I don't know that they've published this or come out with any data or released it publicly, but people are dreaming the same thing on the same night.
What?
Like it's a thing. And so like masses of people are having the same dream. So
what kind of dreams?
I don't know. I this was like over a beer that we had this conversation at a party. So I need to get back to him and say, let's get this data out there. I'm curious as to what it is.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's wild. Like, so how many people they're studying?
It's not an official study. It's just like an app for people that like to catalog and keep track of their dreams. So he's looking at it in aggregate and finding these patterns.
So they record it nightly? Like,
yeah,
hey,
like you wake up in the morning and
then
then like you write down, I dreamt about sharks
Right.
eating dolphins or whatever it is. And then they're seeing patterns and large groups of people. Yeah, it's really trippy.
Imagine if dreams are like a gigantic cineopolis.
Yes.
And you could pick which movie you go into, and there's a bunch of other people in the movie with you watching the same thing.
It's really weird.
But also, like movies, some thinking it's beautiful, others thinking it's shit.
Right.
Incredibly subjective.
It's really a trip.
Fuck, man. That's crazy. That is goddamn crazy. If that turns out to be something that they discover and that starts getting expanded upon and people start really bringing this up on a regular basis, we find out that that's real hard data. That's going to be amazing. What a game changer that would be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you ever taken things before you go to bed to enhance dreams?
No.
I'm going to give you something before you leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever tried Alpha Brain?
No.
Alpha Brain is a nootropic, and then this company, On It, my company, produces.
Cool.
And we have double-blind, placebo-controlled studies showing that, from the Boston Center of Memory, showing that it enhances memory, enhances executive function, enhances reaction time.
Wow.
Also that your body, puts your body in alpha state. It puts your mind in alpha state. But one of the big things from it is if you take it before you go to bed, it gives you lucid dreams. Like really vivid dreams. And the way I describe it is, And I try not to take it sometimes before I go to bed, just because I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night freaked out, have to pee, then can't go back to bed. Like my sleep is precious to me. Like I need at least 6 hours to be functional.
Oh, I'm the same way.
And if I don't get it, I preserve that sleep. I guard it.
Are you tracking it with like a Fitbit or something?
No, I just sleep. But I sleep well. But I'm really like diligent about it. So I don't go online late at night and freak myself out if I know I have to go to bed. I'm not gonna like watch Animal Attacks or some fucking cop shooting some kid and just tripping out. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. There has to be a 2-hour window for me every night. I try to not do electronics and get Flux too, which I'm sure you already have.
What is Flux?
It's for your laptop. It shuts off all the blue light. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Oh, so also Apple just introduced this in the latest version of iOS.
Seen that.
You can turn it on, takes all the blue light out. Flux does it for the laptop.
Oh, okay.
And so at sunset, the screen starts to remove all the blue light, and just they're saying it helps you sleep better, and I found that was the case.
Yeah, there was this futurist convention in New York City a few years back, 2042. They think that in 2042, that's going to be the year that artificial intelligence takes off, and there's all these weirdos that were creating these robots that they could talk to and thinking they're going to download their consciousness into computers. Well, there's a bunch of guys that had these screens over their phones because they were convinced that the artificial light that's emanating from phones is damaging your brain and damaging sleep patterns, and giving you an artificial light source, especially right before you go to bed, could potentially disrupt your sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the whole theory behind all this stuff.
Yeah, my wife was wearing these wacky glasses for a while. Like remember the Brian Bosworth? Remember those fucking those blades that would cover your whole face?
Is this shoot LED light into your face?
No. That's just like it's like orange. It's like, and the idea was it would filter light. So
like blue blockers.
Yes, in a way, yeah. But it was designed specifically to calm the interaction of your eyeballs with yeah.
Amazing. Those are epic.
We're looking at a photo of Brian Bosworth, who's a famous football guy from the 1980s, I guess, with these ridiculous glasses that no one wears anymore.
That earring too.
Yeah, those Terminator glasses. Those were the things, right? After the Terminator. But these goggles, these things that people wear, they wear them and they think that somehow or another, like filtering the light will enhance your sleep. And is there science behind all that, like the flux thing? Or
I don't know. There was, I didn't look into the science. But if Apple's adding it, there must be something. They wouldn't just do that for funsies. There has to be some data behind it.
Do you use all Apple products?
For the most part, I have an Android phone as well, just to kind of mess around with stuff to stay current. But yeah, almost all Apple.
Yeah, I have an Android phone too. I think the Galaxy phones they're probably pretty commensurate. I mean, when I go back and forth, I mean, it's one of them is to get used to it, and the way it communicates with laptops and other Apple people, and the ability to AirDrop stuff. There's like some definite benefits.
Sure,
but there's also some benefits to the Android platform too.
I like the all the new Amazon Prime stuff, like their new TV. It's great.
Yeah,
it's got all the streaming. It's better UI, I think, than the new Apple stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Amazon, I wish that it would catch up and become like a real competitor to Netflix. I think they're kind of closing in. They're creating their own content now, and they're trying to really become like. There are some options too. You can download the movies to your device, which you can't really do with Netflix. So if you're on a plane or something like that, flying over the ocean, you're kind of fucked if you want to watch Netflix. But there's also some stuff that I think. You can definitely make the argument that it's probably a good idea to support emerging or other platforms as well. Like it's not a good thing for everybody to be on Apple.
Right.
I think the more Androids come up with more sophisticated devices and more interesting options and features and applications, the more it's going to force Apple to raise their bar as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that a lot of the Amazon stuff, like the Echo, like those devices in your home that you can speak to, those are a lot of fun. I'm actually finding it pretty useful.
Yeah? What do you use it for?
Well, I mean, just, you're sitting there in the kitchen, you're like, I ran out of trash bags. And you just say, order me new trash bags. And then it looks into your previous purchases. It knows that you've bought those bags before. It knows your home address. It knows your credit card. And it just automatically sends it out.
And do you have to press a button to say that, or you just say it?
No, you just query the device and you just say, order me trash bags. That's it.
So you have to talk to the device
Yeah, you just
first?
say, hey, Alexa, and it's like,
So like,
what's up?
People get mad when I say, hey, Siri, on the podcast because then their phone starts going off.
Yeah.
Turn that shit off, folks. That Siri's stupid. She doesn't know what the difference between a podcast and your own voice is. It's not ready yet.
She's not the best.
She's not ready. Is there a Google version of Siri? There is, right?
Yeah.
What's it called?
Okay, Google.
Oh, and that's what you say?
It's
the
like,
same thing?
Yeah, Google Now. That's what they call it. You say, okay, Google, and then it just... The Google one's actually quite good.
I've been wanting to fuck around with a Windows laptop for a while. I can't bring myself to doing it.
I got the new tablet, and I used it for about a week, and then I sent it back. Well, what's funny is you get it, and you're so excited, and you're like, oh, it looks cool.
Right.
Like, you know, they've sold me because they come up with these, like, fun little videos and stuff. And then you realize, you're like, fuck, I'm in Windows. And then you're back in. Like, it'll reappear. Like, it'll look like this beautiful interface, and you're like, oh, cool apps and all this and whatnot. And then you go into settings, and it's like there's, like, 10,000 options. And it defaults back to that old Windows feel.
Oh.
I don't know if they fixed that with the latest version, but, I mean, that was my problem with it. I realized this is just Windows again. And
Is this a tablet?
it was a tablet, yeah.
Oh. Can you still go into DOS?
Yeah, I think you can still go
You
into
can still
DOS.
enter in command prompts?
Yeah, which I kind of like. That brings back the old school.
It's just there's some new laptops, like Lenovo has some new ThinkPads that
Yeah.
are pretty interesting. They're
Yep.
supposed to have really good keyboards. And
What about the Chromebook? Have you played around with that?
No, I haven't.
Those are pretty cool.
Well, I had a friend who worked for Google, and she had one of those, and I was like, okay, where do you store things on this? You can't.
It's all the cloud.
What? You can't? Get the fuck out of here. Like, you can't. You don't have anything on your laptop? Fuck off.
No, I'm kind of like that now with the Apple.
Yeah?
Yeah, why not? Because then you can smash it, you can lose it, whatever, and who cares? You just get a new one, and you're back up and running in like 10 minutes.
Do you have any of your writing that you don't want people to access that's up there in the cloud?
Well, you just use two-factor auth and all that stuff.
What is that?
That's where it has to send you a text with a code in order for you to log in with a new device.
Oh.
So that way, even if they know your password, they can't get into your stuff.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so I have that turned on for everything, and then, yeah, everything's in the cloud. All photos, all videos,
Wow.
all documents, everything.
You're a man with no porn, no dick pics are floating
That's
around.
right.
You feel real confident. You're like, yeah, it's in the cloud. Go ahead, look at pictures of my dog. Who gives a shit?
I saw... Yeah, there was a sticker I want to get that said, like, the cloud is really just someone else's computer, which is very true.
It is.
It is just someone else's computer.
Well,
there is no cloud.
It's not up in the sky, you fucks.
Right,
Like, why are you calling
right.
it the cloud when it's on the ground? That's so
Right.
stupid.
It's just someone's computer.
But it's a weird name. Like, why say the cloud? I don't understand why you would say the
Well,
cloud.
why say cyberspace?
Yeah.
I guess we don't really use cyberspace anymore.
Yeah, that really
That was
doesn't
a
get
bad
brought
one.
up. But the cloud is weird. But what would be a good replacement?
For what? The cloud?
The word, the cloud, the expression.
I don't know. I kind of like it. It's kind of stuck. It makes me think of this like, well, the thing about the cloud is it's redundant. Like, you can never lose your data. It's
Right.
distributed. So clouds are everywhere. So
Right.
in theory, so is your data, which is concerning / awesome.
Yeah, but I'm always in this position where I say, well, what if I can't get online and I want to have access to my stuff?
Well, most of it is locally cached, right?
Right.
So if you have, iCloud on your desktop or Dropbox or anything else, even if you're in airplane mode, it's still going to be there. You just double click to open it, you're good to go. It syncs the changes later. What you're doing it for is really just a fancy backup. In case you ever lose the device, everything's there.
The fancy backup is a great idea, but what actually disturbs me is the idea that we're going to get to a point where you don't have any hard drive space. As you're not storing anything, you're just accessing things that are somewhere else.
And you're paying for that service.
Yeah.
Like, I pay Apple probably $150 a year for my cloud storage. And it backs up all of my devices to the cloud.
Do you do the Apple Music thing where you pay the $8 a month or
I did
$10
it just
a
to
month?
play with
whatever
it. I thought the interface kind of sucks. iTunes is so bloated right now.
What is cool, though, is Siri could call up songs that
Oh,
you don't even have
interesting.
on your phone. You're
That's
like, hey,
cool.
Siri, play Michael Jackson. And it'll say, what song? And then you say, Thriller, bitch.
Amazon does that too. The Echo does that.
Yeah?
Yeah. You can just tell it to play anything, and if you have Amazon Prime, you get access to all their free Prime music, and then it just plays it. They're all doing it now. Spotify, everybody's doing it.
Yeah, I feel like I want to fuck around with other platforms just because I'm just been such an Apple dork. But then part of me goes, well, that's just because you're a procrastinator and you don't want to work. You want to start playing with some, I'll get to work once I figure out how to run this new laptop. I'm going to figure out how to format my hard drive. Now, how do I defrag on this Windows device?
Well, we all do it, and then you always come back to Apple. At least that's been in my experience.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, there's some little things that it doesn't do right the way you're used to, and then you go back to...
Also, Apple keeps getting better.
The devices keep getting better.
They just get better and better and better. And like this one that I have here is flash drive, which I'm fucking addicted to.
Yeah.
So it powers on like that, accesses data like that. I'm just so addicted to that. Because I remember the spinning of the hard drive.
Right.
And if you dropped it, the hard drive would break.
Yeah.
Like, these things are bulletproof.
They are. Yeah, is that one? That one's not Retina display though.
Yeah,
right?
it is. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
That is. No, it's not. Oh, that's a MacBook Pro.
Yeah.
Okay, that's That's awesome.
Yeah,
the Retina display is a big difference.
It's pretty slick. Yeah, especially when I have my glasses on.
Yeah.
If I'm reading, like when I don't have my glasses on, what's the point?
It doesn't matter at that point.
I barely could read text. I mean, I could kind of this is in front of us. We're looking at like normal size type like that, right? Like I have to kind of like open my eyes up wide and I can read it, but it's not good. I just bought it's hilarious because I bought a book on how to correct your eyesight and how to...
is that a real thing?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. There's a Bates method, Bates method of improving your vision.
Bates method.
Yeah, it's like exercises for your eyes.
Huh.
Katie Bowman, who was on the podcast, is kind of an expert in physical movement, and she's got a lot of interesting ideas about biology. And one of her thoughts about glasses and about when you spend a lot of time looking at computers, looking at a screen, she's like, you're looking at something that's a very fixed distance, which is unusual. And the body's not really designed to focus constantly on a fixed distance for 8 hours a day. Mm-hmm. Your body's supposed to look at things that are over there, things that are up here, things that are everywhere. And in that way, your body gets this broad range of things that you're viewing, all these different distances. And when you look at something that's in a fixed distance, she likens it to being in a cast. Like if you're in a cast, your muscles atrophy.
I hate that technology is slowly killing us. I love it and hate it.
Do you think it is killing us?
Absolutely. Dude,
Well,
I found myself, first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is like go on my phone. And I stopped doing that. But it's taking over. Look around you. Like take one day. And when I walk to work in New York and I put my phone in my pocket and I just walk around and observe other people. Everyone is heads down on their phone.
Oh, yeah.
Like if we were like visiting as this planet and just observing this species called human, like you would say, oh, they're being controlled by this little thing that's telling them what to do. Like it looks like we're being controlled.
Well, what's interesting is people say back in the day, people didn't do that. But there's a photograph of the subway from like 1960 or something like that.
People reading papers?
All of them. Every fucking person is in there reading a newspaper. I think people...
But at least it was one tab. It wasn't like, it was like one page to read.
This. Look at these people.
Right, but like there's no tab browsing there.
But
they're not jumping
all
around.
Fucking reading the paper. All of them, man. They're not looking at each other.
That's fair.
This idea that we used to be amazing. We used to be gregarious.
I want to turn off tabbed browsing. That's what's killing me.
Tabbed browsing on your phone?
Just on your desktop computer and your laptop.
Oh, yeah. I always say, well, I'll leave that tab open because I'm definitely going to need to get that. I have tabs that have been open for months.
No, how about this? Have you ever gone back to your email tab and like there's an email that you're supposed to hit send on?
Oh, yeah.
Like 8 hours ago?
Yeah, you're like, oh, fuck. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely not perfect. But I don't know. I'm a big fan of technology. I'm also a fan of self-discipline. I think you need your own sort of boundaries that you won't cross.
Right.
Like, it's X amount of time per day, or 6 o'clock at night. I put everything away. We're done. That's it. If you need to get a hold of me, call me. Nobody fucking calls me. My phone, I shouldn't even have a home phone. It's fucking useless. Never answer that goddamn thing.
Yeah.
Somebody calls me.
You have a home phone still?
Exactly.
Weird.
Why do I have it? I was in case there's a fire and the police need to get a hold of you and evacuate the neighborhood. But there's levels. Like if someone, like, I'll check my phone in the morning and I'll see text messages and I'll see if anything's important. If someone I care about sends me a text message, then something might be important.
Right.
That's level 1. Level 2 is I'll check my email. That's like next level. Then level 3 is like I start going into social media, Instagram, and Facebook and Twitter, and that's. And then there's level 4. I start Googling shit and checking out forums and reading information about stuff. And then you're going deeper and deeper and deeper. And then you're looking to be distracted.
Right.
I'll go to Digg.
Appreciate that.
For real, man. That's like one of my main sources. Have been for years.
Oh, that's awesome.
My main sources of wacky shit going on in the world.
It's still got a lot of wacky shit on there.
Yeah. Are you involved in it at all anymore?
Yeah, I mean, technically, I'm kind of an advisor to the company, and now that I'm out in New York, they're based out there, so I see the team from time to time. But it was just, man, it was so many years of blood, sweat, and tears that I kind of got burnt out. I was like, I can't look at any more cat videos. I'm gonna jump out the window.
It's just such a great resource for someone who's just curious.
Yeah.
Like, let's see what's interesting out there. Oh, okay. I'll look at it every day, and I'll find at least one thing every day that I have to read, like, holy shit, and then I have to click on it. But it's interesting because I'll send someone a Digg link, and there's a desire that people have, a completely unfounded desire to be over something. Like MySpace. MySpace is a good example.
Oh,
like
for sure.
If you send someone, hey man, I want you to check out my thing. It's on MySpace.
See, I've always wanted to bring back MySpace. Or I want to get an AOL. If I was in charge of AOL, I would make their email so badass that no one could deny it.
Okay, like what would you do?
Just go crazy. Do all the encryption shit that people are talking about. Do like unlimited space. Just like make it the most amazing, badass email platform. So it's like the cool thing again.
So it's like Gmail Plus. Like take everything from Gmail.
Yeah.
Gmail's probably like the best free email platform,
Absolutely.
Right? How much better is it than Yahoo?
I mean, Yahoo has ads in their stuff, like visible big-ass ads.
Those fucks.
I know.
What about Hotmail? Is that still around?
Hotmail's still around. Hotmail would be another one you could probably turn into something pretty badass. You have to get all the Microsoft crap out of there, though.
They own Hotmail, right?
Yeah. They make you sign on with the Microsoft account and all that weird stuff.
Is there anyone that like prefers Windows? Is there anyone that like says they try Apple and they try Windows and they go, oh, this Windows thing's better?
There's a lot of people out there, hardcore Windows fans.
But are they really Windows fans?
They're
or
gamers.
Are they just massive, gamers.
So the gamers still love Windows.
Yeah.
You can't run Oculus on a Mac yet.
Well, it's also, some people love all those options too, right? You can't run Oculus Rift on a Mac?
No.
Oh.
No, not yet.
That's a game killer.
Yeah.
Game changer.
The video card's not good enough, they're saying.
Whoa, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you play video games on a Mac, do they have native versions of? Do you have to switch over to? There's that. What is that application that you can switch back and forth between Windows and Mac?
Yeah, they have like the boot camp, they called it, where you could boot into the.
That's still around.
Yeah, the good news is that it's all Intel hardware, so you can boot into Windows if you want to, but it's still like the graphics cards are a few generations behind.
That's so weird.
Yeah, it's just like Apple doesn't care. They don't have really anyone doing super high-end gaming on their rigs, so they don't. That's not their game anymore.
Well, you remember when Steve Jobs came back and they killed the clones?
Yeah.
That's when it was kind of weird, because before then, like, you could buy a Mac online that was way more powerful than anything Apple was selling.
Right.
Way more hard drive space, SLI video cards. Were they doing SLI video cards?
I don't think they were doing SLI, no. Oh. This was before then.
They had souped up like processors though, and like much more power, much more storage space. And then, Apple was like, "Fuck you."
Yeah, but you still can't run Mac OS on a PC. It have to have its own ROM, like a special Apple ROM.
Right, but I know people have done it.
There's hacks around it, but it never works.
Doesn't?
100%.
People are gonna go crazy.
Well,
right
anytime
now.
there's like a software update, they just like patch it, so you're not always running the latest stuff. It was always a war like that.
It's really interesting. It's really interesting, the dual platform thing, because it kind of becomes a tribe thing. Like people get addicted to rooting for one particular sports team. Like, I've been with the Cubs since the beginning. I'm going to be with the Cubs to the end.
Yeah.
Go Cubs.
Yeah.
They get that way with Windows. They
get that way with websites and everything. Like you were saying with MySpace and all those others. The same thing with Digg. People were like pissed off at Digg for a while.
Yeah, well, Digg changed its look.
Yeah.
And when it changed its look, all these people are like, fuck Digg, why are they doing that? I'm like, well, you're just looking to say fuck you. That's what you're looking to do. Like, you're looking to be over something. It's not like, this is not a rational disagreement or a grievance you have.
Yeah, there was a lot of, there's a couple things. One, one thing we learned is that people, they love, when they get into something and really into it, they're hesitant to change. Like anything that you change, you move an icon or change a color or do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's part of the reason probably why Reddit hasn't made a whole lot of big overarching changes to their product. It kind of feels the same, it looks the same, functions the same, is because people fell in love with that, and it's a hard thing to do. You make any changes there and you have revolt on your hands,
Right.
So for us, it was difficult because we had taken a lot of investor funding and they wanted us to go very mainstream. There was always like, well, how can we get your mom reading Digg or whatever it may be? And I think that, in retrospect, that was the wrong approach, because we should have been loyal to our core audience and kind of been all about that, which the site is today. It's a lot more like it was back then. Granted, the design has changed, but I think the content is more like that. And the mistake that we made is we tried to push into more kind of mainstream news, when really what made Digg so special is that it was able to unearth and find the really kind of unique, obscure, random stuff from around the web.
Right.
So that was, but it was a crazy ride. We were, it was probably 7 or so years that we were kind of riding that wave, and like all internet properties, it's like, if you can last 5 years, it's amazing. If you can last 7, that's unbelievable. And if you can last 10, that's like almost unheard of.
I go to it every day. So to me, nothing's changed.
That's awesome.
The popularity of it hasn't dropped off at all.
I met with the John Borthwick at Heads Up BetaWorks, and he was saying it's something like a total of 42 million across all platform a month Digg still receives. That's across mobile and desktop and everything else that they do.
That's still amazing.
Which is crazy.
It's a lot of fucking people, man.
It's nuts.
Yeah, it's just when I love when someone can just collect things for you. There's someone aggregates all this interesting, weird, bizarre shit. And it's a one-stop shop. Like, this is kind of always going to be in market for that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing now with my newsletter. I don't know if you saw that I launched a new newsletter.
No.
Yeah, I launched a newsletter here just a few weeks ago, and I only put it out once a month. Like, I hate that, when I was in television, on TechTV and some of the other stuff that we did, it was always about producing new content every single day. And you can never really put the best stuff out there. You're always in a rush to produce your segment. You're like, okay, what am I going to do today, blah, blah, blah. And so I created a newsletter that is basically just my favorite stories, videos, products, but things that are fully vetted that I spent a lot of time collecting. And so I release it once a month on the first of every month.
Oh, that's great. The fully vetted thing's great because, God, there's so many. Well, first of all, how many stories do you get that are completely contradicting something that was a story just a week
Right,
ago?
exactly.
And you're like, well, who the fuck is right? Well, now you got to make me do research.
Right.
Now I got to Snopes this and figure this out and try to figure out whose team I'm on and which article seems most rational.
Right.
And if you can't do that, then you have to go into scientific papers and, oh, fucking Christ. Then you have to contact people and search forums and see what the people that are actually studying this shit think. And it's nice if someone vets it out in advance.
Yeah. Yeah, so if I put a product on there, it has to be something that, like a technology product that I've used for at least a month. So I can tell you, there's a lot of that kind of like I get hyped up on something for a few days and it actually ends up sucking and you've already plugged it and you're like,
give me an example of that. Like what?
I don't know. Just like any new product that comes out, like when the Echo first came out, the Amazon Echo, it's like I think it got better with a few software updates. So I'm glad I didn't plug it initially because I kind of thought it sucked. But it's a lot better now. But it took some time to get there. I just want to make sure that I feel like our time is really precious. All of our time is really precious. And if you push someone to go read something or to buy something, it should be worth their time. And so I want to put a lot of effort into that. So
well, that's a great way to approach it for sure. And if someone's going to really get committed to paying attention to you on a regular basis, on a monthly basis, it's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're filtering it out before it gets to them.
Yeah. So it's called The Journal. You can sign up at thejournal.email. There's .email domain extensions now.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, it's
like email list?
Yeah, it's just an email list. You put in your email address to send one a month, and you can use it for anything. You can use a domain for it, whatever you want. But they came out with the .email domain extension. But
That's
yeah,
a weird extension. What is it? Because usually they're from
I
countries,
don't
right?
know why. Yeah, it's normally from countries, but now they're opening up to everything. There's like dot wine now. There's dot
Do they have dot porn yet?
there's dot XXX.
Oh, okay. And
So
that's all porn?
It's so expensive.
I have
Really?
dot photography for my website.
There you go.
You do?
Yeah.
Ooh, look at you, Jamie. Dot photography. What is something that's really got you hyped up?
The Aero Wi-Fi system, EERO.
What is that?
Oh, it's crazy. So you know how there's always been, we've had Wi-Fi units that it's like one base station to rule them all. Like you have one base station, they get crazier every year. They have more antennas on them, and this idea of one master base station that blankets your entire house, it's great if you have a small apartment. If you have a house or 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom, it's next to impossible to get like streaming video down at bedroom number 3 down the hall.
Right.
So Arrow's like, okay, screw it. We're not going to make one master massive base station. We're going to make these little tiny like hockey puck style little stations, and you get 3 of them in a pack, and then you just plug them in and around the house. And they work off a mesh network. So they all mesh with each other. They're not extenders. They're like using their own dedicated little wireless signals to do mesh, almost like the way a Sonos would operate in your house. And then you just have universal blanket high-speed coverage. And so
So it doesn't vary no matter where you
it's
walk.
amazing. In New York, I was having issues like trying, because my Wi-Fi or my cable modem was all the way on the other end of the house. And I have a long hallway kind of going between the dining room and the front room. And I plugged 3 of them in, all going down the hallway. And normally with these boosters or anything else, they just kind of they kind of suck. They just don't never work right.
Yeah.
And this one just, set up on your iPhone,
How do you spell it?
EERO.com. Yeah, there they are right there. There's the 3 units on the screen there. But yeah, they're pretty amazing. And it's a new technology. One of their investors was telling me about it. I bought them on Amazon. And this is something I just mentioned in my newsletter because I had some time to spend with it, and I actually really, if your Wi-Fi works great at home, don't mess with it. It's not worth it. But if you're having issues, this works.
Why does it have a phone there? They have an app that works
Yeah,
or
so
something?
the setup is just with the phone. They don't even make you use a desktop to set it up at all.
So just plug it into your whatever you use, like some sort of a cable that connects into your router?
Yeah, you just plug it right into your router with the first base station, and then you go and take the other ones and just place them around your house. Yeah, it's great.
And how does it work with the Apple Wi-Fi system?
I just got rid of the Apple. I unplugged it altogether.
And you just use only that now?
Just only use this, yeah.
Really? Interesting. Ooh, I like it. Better, huh?
Yeah, it's been getting great reviews. Again, but it's if your Wi-Fi is working fine, don't mess with it. Like that's, but mine, I must have like pissed off some kind of Wi-Fi god in a previous life. I've never had good Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
It's just
I have some issues. I think everybody does. Wi-Fi is weird too. I always wondered what's going on with those signals just fucking flying around your house too.
Right.
Is that good?
I think you're fine.
I think you're fine too, but I don't know. It's like that same thing you were saying about there could possibly be senses that we don't necessarily have, like that we could measure and weigh. But there's a feeling that you get when you're like at the top of a mountain. If you go hiking and there's no Wi-Fi signal, it just feels cleaner.
Right. But it also could be the amazing fresh air.
Could be.
Right.
Yeah.
Or maybe we can do some DMT at home and start reading people's email. Just like by intercepting their signals.
Do you think there's going to come a point in time where there is no longer any privacy?
Any privacy at all?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think privacy is a hot topic right now, and people are really starting to get into it for the first time.
Right. Well,
So-
they definitely are concerned. People, when you hear about the NSA thing,
Right.
the Edward Snowden thing, and you find out that it's really pretty easy to access your information. And, people worry about being hacked or
Right.
being phished. Someone sends you an email and you tap. People are worried about privacy, but my concern is that it seems like what's going on with technology in general is, especially when it comes to the internet and anything information based, is your access to information is getting quicker and quicker.
Right.
It's like you have more access to more data and more access to each other.
Right.
And each other's data. And eventually, if that keeps going, it keeps going, it keeps going, there's going to come a point in time where we're just fucking reading each other's minds.
Right.
And when that happens, there's really not going to be a lot of privacy, if at all.
Yeah, I think that there's certainly people trying to push the envelope there, and there has been over the last few years in startups that I've seen. Like there was a startup that at one point you would auth in all of your credit cards, and it would share out socially the stuff that you were buying with friends. And so basically, if you went on there and bought a blood sensor on Amazon, I would see that. And then I could then use that as a kind of a more or less an endorsement from you and go buy something similar. It blew up and it went out of business, but they were kind of pushing that. But there has to be a trade-off, especially when it comes to free services. Like, you can't expect to be a private person if you're getting something for free.
Right.
You know, like if you're getting Gmail, they are reading your emails and they're putting ads against it. Now, it's not a human reading them, but their machines are reading them and placing relevant ads. And
Well,
it's
there's
like
that spooky moment when you're looking something online
Right.
and then you go and look to the corner of your website page and it's that exact ad.
right, but that's fine. I'm fine with that.
Right.
Because it's free.
Yeah.
I don't have to go drive down to the library and look up a book and trying to figure out what I was trying. You know, Google's providing that service. And I'm like, thank you very much, Google. And I will gladly take your ad.
Right. And if you were looking for like a pair of shoes and you went and researched a pair of shoes, then all of a sudden that pair of shoes is staring at you on
Right.
the website.
It's creepy, but I get it.
It's
You
not
know,
terrible.
it's not terrible.
Yeah.
Because it's something that you already expressed intent towards. You're like, I want that MCT oil.
Right.
And now it's there again.
It's not like sexual deviance shit.
Right.
You know, it's
well, I
not
guess
like-
it could be.
Is it?
Depends on the targeting. But
I don't know if they do that though.
No, I don't, Google doesn't allow that. No.
Yeah, that would be rough.
Yeah.
Try explaining that.
Yeah, that's I think that's forbidden by the terms of service.
It must be. It's funny because that's where people draw the line. It's like sexual pleasure, and sexual fantasies. That's where we draw the line.
Right.
About what you can talk about openly and have. You know, I mean, you could have a shoe fetish. You could be like really into shoes.
Have you ever met anyone that openly says they have a shoe fetish? I don't think that's a thing that you can talk
They might
about.
not say it's sexual fetish. No, but all those fucking weirdos that are collecting sneakers, you know who you are.
Right. Oh, so you're thinking the Nike sneaker collectors
All
are
those
also
weirdos. Jamie's one of them. Look at him over there smiling. He buys those Kanye West sneakers.
Really.
Yeah, he's a
I
mess.
wish. I don't have them.
He wants to try to find them. He can't get them. They're sold out.
The question is like how
get 'em anywhere.
how bad do you want them? Is it like I'd like to have them, or like I will
I
do
don't-
anything?
My friend Brendan, he buys pairs and then he won't wear them until he knows he's got to do something important, and then he put on a special pair of Jordans. I'm like,
We all have that though. I used to collect old microprocessors.
really?
Yes.
What'd you do with
You know,
them?
actually, I have a sealed copy of Windows 1.0.
Wow.
It's in the Computer History Museum. It says my name underneath it in outside of San Francisco, outside of Mountain View.
Well, that's actually pretty cool, though. That's history. That's like
Yeah,
having
that's what I was
an
saying.
ancient leather-bound book that Ben Franklin wrote in.
I thought it was kind of cool.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. I've got an old Windows NT that's still in the box in my house.
3.11.
I don't know.
4.0 probably.
I don't know what the number is, but it was around Windows ME because I remember I was making game computers and I didn't like Windows ME.
Oh, it's the worst.
Yeah, it was sucky, and so I had some friends that went with NT. But the problem was you would have issues with certain drivers for video cards, and then
yeah.
you have to be like really hip on the forums
Yeah.
and make sure you get on IRT and IRC and find out where the best drivers are and how to
Super
hook
geeky
things up.
days.
Yeah, there was like certain resolutions you couldn't run things.
Oh, there was
at.
everything. You had to file or format with the NTSF file system.
Yeah.
Remember that?
IRC was always weird too. So strange because you could send files to each other.
Yeah.
It's like IRC is such a strange message sort of distribution.
The original hashtags were in IRC. Do you remember that? You could do like pound a channel, like anything.
That's right.
Yeah.
This is all from my Quake playing days. So that was how clans would communicate with each other.
Yeah.
You know, the Quake teams would call each other clans first. People were like, you're in the clan? No, the clan like tribe, like, you know, team that
I didn't
competes.
even realize that.
Yeah.
They did call it clans back then.
Yeah, they call them Quake clans. Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't even make that connection. I was in a
Yeah.
clan too.
Yeah, well, I was
It's
in a
so
clan.
crazy they called it that.
Yeah, you know, and we would go to these IRC channels and we'd have like a window open. Like a lot of guys would run two screens. So you'd run one screen where your video game is playing, and then you'd have another screen next to that,
Right.
separate, which was your IRC channel.
Right.
And so you'd be communicating with each other. And you had IQ. Remember the
Yeah.
instant messenger?
Yeah. Well,
ICQ.
With the little flower, the green flower. Yeah.
That was awesome. And so you could send each other little ICQ messages while the match was going on.
super geeky.
Dude, this is geeky as it gets. I mean, this was like 90s.
Yeah.
Right? So like This is this is how deep I was into it. I lived in the mountains, like kind of high up in the hills of the Santa Monica Mountains, and I couldn't get good internet access. The best I could get with ISDN.
Right.
I couldn't get cable. Couldn't get cable modem out there. It's fucking terrible. The pings were awful to everywhere. So I had a T1 line installed in my house.
Oh, you must have been rich.
I was rich.
Those were expensive.
I went deep. Yeah, but it was worth it to me.
It was a 1.44 megabit line.
Yeah.
Wait,
it was
those were like 10 grand a month.
It was worth it.
That's crazy. Did you really buy a T1 line back
Yes,
then?
I had it installed in my house.
How did you get that? How could you
was
even
on
afford
TV.
that? Oh, you were doing TV stuff.
I was on TV. Yeah.
Wow.
So I was like, look, I could
It's TV money.
go blow all this money on coke and hookers, or
a T1
I could
line.
install a T1 line in my house.
Wow.
And the people at the whatever the fucking company I called to do it, was AT&T or whoever did it, they were like, what?
Did they have to lay like fiber to get to your house?
They had to do it to this place too. To this place, we had dog shit internet when we first moved into this place. They had to chew up the fucking sidewalk out front.
Crazy.
I was like, this is not going to happen. It was way more expensive to put it in here. This was a drag. What did it take? 4 months? More than 4 months to get like real. But we have 100 up and 100 down.
Wow.
A dedicated line. It's fat. It's an awesome pipe. But when we first moved here, we had DSL. It was dog shit. And it's just, there's certain things that you just can't fuck around with.
Right.
You know?
Internet is definitely one of them.
And when you're addicted, completely addicted, 8 to 10 hours a day playing Quake, and you go, oh, there's a solution? What is the solution? It's a T1 line. Let's do that.
Yeah.
You know?
A lot of people Trent Reznor was addicted to that for a long time.
Quake?
Yeah.
Well, it's amazing. I mean, and I can't even fuck with it today. I just don't have any time. I have children. I have too many different jobs. I just can't go near it. I can't.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that if I just fucking blew a fuse one night and drank too many Jolt Colas and sat down in front of my computer and decided to go online and play some death matches, I would get right back into it, just like a dude who has a rubber band off his arm and shot that heroin in
Yeah.
for a while. I'd get right back into it, man.
Don't do it. Slippery
No,
slope.
I won't. I refuse. But the new games, the graphics are so fucking incredible. It's almost worth it. What is this?
The Doom multiplayer trailer that just popped out.
Whoa.
It looks a lot like old Quake used to.
Oh
totally
my
does.
God. Look at this.
Super fast running around. Some people are complaining about how the play is, but because it's that old school, the way Doom used to exactly be.
Well, that's the way it's supposed to be. Like,
Yeah.
what are they complaining about?
just because they
Too
like Call of
fast?
Duty and stuff like that.
Oh, because they're pussies.
Yeah.
They want the fucking people to move like real people. That's retarded.
Rocket launchers everywhere.
Oh
blowing
yeah,
shit
look
up.
at this. You turn into a monster and start fucking people
Ripping
up when you.
people.
Oh, you bite people's heads off. When does this come out?
Yeah, this looks awesome.
Soon.
All right, I just changed my opinion. I'm in. I'm back in. I'm gonna
Can you use the controllers though? Like on the
No.
Xbox? See, I can't either.
They're useless.
I need a mouse, and
a
keyboard.
That's the only way to do it. Look at this guy. He's fighting the devil. He was punching the devil in his fucking face. Now he has the devil power.
That's right.
Oh, Jesus Christ. This is amazing. Yeah, but see, I'm not interested in grabbing people and ripping them apart. I want to shoot them. It looks dope, though. Deathmatch, like one-on-one death matches with that would be pretty fucking incredible.
You have the perfect setup here for a LAN party. by
Don't
the way.
say it. Stop.
I'm just saying.
Stop. We used to do LAN parties back in the 1990s. We used to all meet in Houston. That's where a bunch of my friends were.
Bring
we
your
come
PC?
from all over the country. Yeah, link them all together and
Yeah.
have zero ping.
That's
Which is
right.
the greatest thing ever. The most brutal thing we would do though. My friend Chad, he had some sort of a tech job. I forget what it was, but he had access to his company's boardroom, and we'd set everything up in this boardroom on these giant tables and shit. And then we would start a server, and then other people would join in, but they had lag, and we
Right.
didn't have any lag.
Just waste them.
So sweet. So it's just like, shooting chickens in a barrel.
Yeah.
Fish in a barrel, whatever it is.
Shoot chickens in a barrel. It's probably
Same
also
thing.
equally easy.
Same
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, I mean, it's just after a while. I mean, but then the worst thing is like you would find someone who would kick your ass, even though they had 50 ping and you
Yeah.
had 0. You're like, oh well, great.
Who is the best player ever? What was
Immortal.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had him. He was on the screensavers on TechTV back in the day when I was on there, and I played against him.
Yeah,
It's
Thresh.
Just,
Thresh.
It's next level.
Immortal was his. Well, there's a bunch of different guys. There was Thresh. There was Fatality.
Fatality is the one I played. He was really good.
Yeah, Jonathan Wendell, I think his name is. I met that dude in Vegas. He's a great guy.
Yeah, super nice guy.
Yeah, I think he plays regular games now too. But there was a kid before him. His nickname was Thresh, and he sort of got out of the competitive game thing and got into online websites, like reviewing games and game websites and the business of it. He just decided to stop playing and competing. But there was a bunch of those guys.
Yeah.
I played a few of them online and just got fucking just decimated.
Yeah, Fatality had his own motherboard.
I had his mouse.
That was like the equivalent of like being like signed by like a skateboarder or something
Yeah,
like that. It's like,
there it is.
yes.
Fatality. There he is up in the upper left-hand side.
That would have
You
been
can
my
see it.
dream back in the day, to have my face on a motherboard box.
Yeah.
So good.
I wonder what he's doing
You've made
these days. I wonder what he must be involved in something. It's like it says his Twitch. He's got a channel. Is that what it is? Yeah, these guys, they play games on Twitch and they make money playing games. People watching them.
It's good life.
Well, some people have these channels where they play on Twitch and they have hundreds of thousands of people that are following them and watching them, and they're playing. 40,000 people might be watching them play a fucking game at the same time. Like,
I mean, you've seen the
strange.
stadiums in Korea.
Yes.
That's nuts.
The StarCraft, right?
Yeah, StarCraft, I think it is.
Fuck, man.
Yeah.
See, that's not interesting to me, though. StarCraft is boring to me. I understand it, but it's like chess. I'm sure it's fascinating to play.
I love those games. That was my bread and butter right there, like Command and Conquer and those. But yeah, it is like chess, and it's too much about build order now. It's like you have to really get your build order down and just go really fast up front.
But what's the build order? What does that mean?
It just means that, like, you put your power plant first before your weapons plant, before your turrets. Like, you have to know your order in which you build things. And then you adjust that based on what they're bringing against you. So if they're trying to rush you right away, you want to get turrets up first.
Look at that audience. That's
So it's
insane.
in Columbus this weekend at the MLG tournament.
That's where this is?
Yeah.
Oh, my
Nationwide Arena.
God. Oh, my God. This is like 15,000 people.
Huge $1 million tournament, I think. $1 million
That's
prize.
insane.
Look at all those dorks. How many of those guys have ever gotten laid? 5? Raise your hand.
It'd be fun just to go to one of those.
Fuck
though.
yeah. I would like to go to one of them as a reporter. I would like to interview those guys.
I saw that the Rock was back in the it's not WWE. He was just back in at WrestleMania like a few days ago. I wanted to go. Dude, that would be fun. Have you ever been to a WrestleMania?
No.
It's like a male soap opera. You just go there and you drink beer and you yell and then you leave. I mean, just to experience it one time. I'm not into it. I don't know the characters. I don't watch it ever. But just to go and experience that kind of environment.
It's not interesting to me, but I
Really?
get it. I get how it would be interesting, but you got to think that, like, I'm already... Whoa, is that how many people are there?
Yes.
That's 101,000.
It was the record.
What?
Yeah.
100,000 people
That's in
go
Dallas.
to see wrestling? Fake
Yes.
wrestling?
It's fake wrestling.
100,000 people.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's the arena that the UFC has been hoping forever to do an event in. But we would have to have some crazy, unbelievable card to fill that place up. Oh my God.
Can you believe that many people go? And
Yes.
the tickets were 500 to 3,000.
That's incredible. Oh my God.
It's like basically like the Super Bowl.
the amount of money they must have made from that fucking thing is insane.
And it's all fake.
Yep.
I mean, not that they're not athletes, though.
Oh, they're
'cause those
definitely
guys
athletes.
are serious athletes.
Athletes, acrobats. I mean,
Yeah.
Cirque du Soleil is fake too
Yeah.
in that way.
That's right.
It's not unimpressive. It's very impressive. Yeah. I just,
I never thought of Cirque du Soleil as fake.
it's not, but I do commentary for MMA. So for me, the reality of MMA is so intense and it's so powerful that, like, I've seen too much.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's like a fake
you
slap and a
stepping
guy
back-
going down. I'm like, I can't.
I'm more going for the. I'm not actually like into watching that as much as it would be just the environment in general. It's
get
like going
it.
to a monster truck rally. I'd love to do that as well.
I don't want to do that either.
We're definitely
But
not hanging after the show. Maybe we'll go do cryo together. We
We'll do cryo,
we
and that's it. We'll fist bump and fucking go our
do
separate
some
ways.
DMT and
Talk
some
shit about
cryo
each other
and
once we get in our
peace out.
separate cars. This guy doesn't even like wrestling. He said fucking cryo's fake. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I understand it. It's not. But there's not enough time in the day.
No, I know.
I mean, that's why I don't follow baseball, basketball, football, or hockey. And people try to talk, you see the game? And I go, no. And they'll look at me like I just sucked 100 dicks. Like, look, man, I don't have to like what you like.
Right.
Okay, just because you guys are all into football, you didn't watch the Super Bowl. No, I didn't watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Is that okay? I never watched the Super Bowl.
It's probably a good time of day to go out and get shit done.
I was at Disneyland.
It was dead empty?
People caught on.
Oh.
Used to be back in the day. I used to take the kids on Disneyland was a good one. Some Jewish holidays were good. You know, you definitely wouldn't get you'd eliminate 99% of the Jewish people. So that would be a good 30% of the people at the park or whatever the fuck it would be.
Yeah.
You can catch days like that. Like if you want to go to Disneyland, it's probably a good idea to plan. You got to really plot that thing out.
Right.
Because if you try to go on a normal day in the summer or something like that, good fucking luck.
Yeah, I haven't done Disneyland in forever.
It's awesome.
Is it though?
They have this
How do you
new
eat
Star
keto at
Wars
Disneyland?
ride. How do you what?
Eat keto?
Turkey legs.
You do turkey legs there?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Dude, I'm disciplined.
Are you full keto now?
Yeah. I can. Well, I did a little cheating when I was in Mexico. I had some tortillas,
Oh.
but that was it.
Stone
And I
ground.
yeah, but I did it just because I was on vacation. I was like, I'm gonna enjoy myself for a few days, then get right back onto it. But I like the effect of it. It had a noticeable effect in the way I look and noticeable effect in the way I feel. And I think there's some undeniable cognitive benefits as far as the clarity of your mind.
Yeah,
you
no
don't feel
doubt.
foggy and tired. And I was like, I'm just sticking with this.
Yeah.
And plus, I don't have any here. Well, this is the keto. This is just some cream. This is keto cream.
Rhonda tried to get me on this stuff, man. It's
But
sweet.
That stuff's not. That's not.
Wait, I had this one. It is sweet. It's got the stevia in it.
That
Yeah.
one is? Is that the one? That's
Yeah,
the one
have
I
you tried
gave
the-
it to her. I gave that shit to her. I also gave her some Keto OS, which is something you dump in water. It's
Same company,
ketones.
right?
No, it's a different company, but it's ketones. But exogenous ketones are good.
Yeah, I've done Ketocana.
Ketocana is great.
Yeah.
I have that stuff. That's good to keep you going. And then there's Dom DeAugustino, who's one of the reasons why I was first intrigued by the ketogenic diet. Listening to him on Tim Ferriss podcast. So if you haven't heard it,
Yeah, Dom's awesome.
Amazing, super fucking smart guy, and so dedicated to the pros and the benefits of ketogenic diets and staying in ketosis. So I was like, well, this guy's obviously on the fucking ball. I've got to really look into this. There's got to be something to this. And so for me, there's a few undeniable benefits. One of the big ones is the way I feel in between meals. Huge.
Oh, yeah. There's not any type of crash. You
No.
just have a constant energy.
Well, not only that, the constant energy or the no crash is good, but also my hunger's not the same. I would get fucking famished where I would eat something and then 4 hours later, 5 hours later, when I was ready for my next meal, I would be famished.
Yeah.
Where my body was crashing. Oh my God, I have to fucking eat. I literally don't get like that anymore. It doesn't happen. So I recognize that I'm hungry. I realize that I should probably get some food in me, but I'm not compromised.
Right.
And in that state, I can still have a very good workout.
Right.
Which, when I was on a carbohydrate, glucose-based system, my body was just not operating like that. I would have a shit workout if I was tired and I hadn't eaten anything. I would have to have some fruit before I worked out.
Right.
And so those two benefits, but the big one was the way my brain works. It just feels less foggy.
Yeah. It's
You
a
know?
cleaner state, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's undeniable also that eating all those carbohydrates has an effect on your insulin sensitivity, and your body's just processing a fuckload of sugar. You're eating all that bread and pasta and all that stuff. It's a lot of sugar. And if you are blowing it out all day, if you're some crazy fucking ultra marathon runner or some dude who's doing CrossFit 4 hours a day or something like that, you probably get away with it.
Yeah.
You'd probably be fine. But I think there's some real benefits to staying in ketosis.
Yeah, I got really hooked on it, so much so that I was testing my blood probably 3 to 4 times a day.
What'd you find?
I was just testing after I would eat certain foods.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would go in and say, okay, I'm, 2.5 millimolars right now, ketone-wise. If I have a big salad, but I put a ton of fat in there as well, will I stay in ketosis? Pushing the edges to see what would kick me out.
Right.
So, one thing I did find is I I like to have a glass of wine or two with dinner. And so I really wanted to see what wine would do with ketosis.
Knocks you right out of it, right?
You know what? Actually, a really dry champagne, I could stay in. Which is weird because you wouldn't think champagne would keep you in. You'd think like something with a... Yeah, it definitely has to be on the drier side, but I was thinking initially like a red wine would keep me in more than, say, like a champagne.
Right.
Champagne, I would drop down, but I'd still be, around 0.8 to 1.2, somewhere around there.
Do you worry about that? Do you check that on a regular basis, or do you just go on the way you feel?
Primarily on the way I feel. I could always tell when I got kicked out. I could tell when I ate something I shouldn't. I'd be out and about and it would sneak up on me. You'd have like a salad with like some kind of dressing that I wasn't sure of, but it doesn't taste too sweet. And then all of a sudden I would get this really bad crash if I got fully kicked out of ketosis.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. You must be like super sensitive to
I was
it then.
super sensitive, but I would also get pretty deep pretty easily. Like I could fast and get up into 2.5, 3 millimolars within 24 hours.
I had a real problem with those goddamn blood meters.
Why?
Because the things that they use to prick your skin don't get through my skin.
Did you set it to like a level 8 or whatever?
I had to take it out of the thing and stab myself with it.
Oh, yeah, that's weird.
Well, I lift so much kettlebells that my skins are all calloused and thick.
Right.
So I'd like try to get in there, and I was gonna actually go with the top of my skin. Like maybe that's the better way to do it, but it just seems so fucking gross.
No, I've tried it all over the place. I've done it on the sides before.
What's the best way for you?
For me, it is the tips of the fingers, but like, it's kind of Russian roulette. Like 1 out of every 10 is going to hurt. So when you're doing it like 5 times a day, you always gotta try and different spots.
It got annoying. I was like, this is annoying. Let's jab myself because I used to try the punch thing and it just wasn't doing anything.
Right.
I would go right to the tip, chunk.
Did you
squeeze,
push in
chunk.
when you were
fucking stab myself with that thing, dude.
Huh.
But it's years of lifting iron, like kettlebells are just it's a fat piece of iron, and your hands are just constantly getting roughed up. And I'm using powder, chalk, so it's just all this grit. It's all very thick. It's like the coating is like the bottom of your feet.
Just do it on top. Do it on the tops there.
Is there a better way?
No, I mean, there's the pea sticks, but they don't really work that well.
Yeah.
But for someone like yourself that's following a pretty strict diet, then just once a day is fine. Just checking them first thing in the morning.
Yeah, I just don't check it anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. If you know you're in, you're in. You'll feel it.
Well, I always feel like, look, what am I eating? I'm eating eggs and avocados and meat, and I know what I'm eating.
Yeah.
And I'm not. I just want to feel like I feel right now. Like if I can just keep this, whatever this is, this is great. I don't want anything that I have to obsess on.
Right.
Oh my God, I'm in 2 millimolars. I'd like to be at 3. Like, how do I get to 3? Well, I have to drink a fucking gallon of MCT oil. Oh, now I got to shit my pants.
That's right. Yeah, for me, it was like, okay, what is going to kick me out just so I know the boundaries? And once I have the boundaries, then I'm fine. I didn't need to do it anymore. So like, I know that I can have, a half a cup of brown rice along with some fatty foods, and it's not going to really do anything.
Right.
So it's like, I just wanted to see, does a cup kick me out? Oh, yeah, a cup does. Okay, dial it back. That kind of thing.
Right. And when you get kicked out, how long does it take you to recover?
Half day.
Half day.
Half to 3/4 of a day.
Do you intermittent fast at all?
Oh, yeah.
And how many hours do you do?
16 hours.
16. Yeah, I've done 12, and I guess that's not enough.
I'll do 24 a couple times a month.
Really?
Yeah, 2-3 times a month.
And why do you do it?
Just because I keep, you listen to Rhonda's podcast and she starts talking about like all the guests that she has on like Dr. Dom and others. And they talk about how if you're doing a full 24-hour fast, like it can actually help clear out the precancerous kind of cells that haven't fully gone cancer.
Isn't that interesting?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But why not? It's like this is something fasting's been around for obviously a very long time. It also puts me in a nice kind of meditative state. I interviewed the trainer. I haven't released this podcast yet, but I interviewed the trainer for Hugh Jackman that helped him get shredded for Wolverine.
Did he tell you about the steroids?
He did not tell me about the steroids.
Oh, well, he didn't tell you everything then.
Yeah, he definitely told me about the intermittent fasting.
Let me tell you about the steroids.
Is this real?
I'm 100% confident that guy did steroids.
How do you know?
Look at his body. He's fucking jacked. Hugh Jackman got fucking jacked.
Do you think
he's
he got
40
jacked?
years old. You don't think he got jacked?
Well, I mean, it depends on what kind of.
I'm sure that he was on a wonderful diet.
He was on a wonderful diet.
I'm
He was also intermittent
sure
fasting.
He was, without a doubt, manipulating his hormones.
What do you think he was using?
Well, I know friends that have done movie roles. Look at him. Come on, son.
That's a lot of Photoshop. That's a still.
That might be a still, but this is scene in the movie where he gets up out of bed and he is fucking jacked. I mean, is it possible to get that big without steroids? If you're 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or if you are a fucking maniac and you're 30 and you're in the gym all day long and you're completely and totally dedicated, yeah, it's possible. But it's not likely. But I have a friend who was he's a movie actor, and he was doing a role, and in the role he had to be jacked, and they just come in.
Yeah,
we have a guy. We have a guy, and this guy's gonna hook you up, and if you follow his protocols, he's just gonna.
It'll be healthy.
The guy's
you'll
like,
be
well, this is what
fine.
we're gonna do. We're gonna do this and do that, and add this and that, and he's like, whoa, and it's really kind of in some sort of a weird gray area, it's. There's some stuff that there's some stuff that you can get at like GNC and some of those places where it is steroids.
Really?
Yes.
Like what stuff?
Well, a fucking shitload of them. We had Jeff Nowitzki, who's the guy who busted Lance Armstrong, and he works for the UFC now. He works for USADA, and they have a website. And in the USADA website, there's all these different supplements that contain products that are illegal. Products that will get you kicked out because they are steroids and they are performance-enhancing drugs. Well, the USADA website has alphabetically listed A through Z, and each letter has just fucking shitloads of different supplements that you could buy at any store, any local vitamin shop that is likely to be filled with steroids.
That's crazy.
Well, there's the stuff that I used to take. I took it in the early 2000s. It was called Mag 10. They made it illegal after a while. It was 100% steroids. I mean, 100%.
This has to be really bad for your liver then. These are
good.
all,
most of them are not good. But, when you see someone gets that jacked for a movie,
right.
Why would they be concerned with not doing it the right way?
No, that's a good point.
Like, what's the goal here? The goal here is you have to look like a goddamn superhero.
Right.
Okay. So are you prepared to not totally look like a superhero and tell everybody, but at least I did it naturally?
Right.
Fuck that. No, they're gonna do deadlifts on testosterone and take human growth hormone.
Well,
and
the reward is
ketogenic
pretty high
diet.
too, in that you get paid $15 million or whatever it is per
and
movie.
he looked awesome. I mean, I'm not hating it at all, but anyone who thinks you're going to achieve that kind of results without some sort, especially like I said, like how old's Hugh Jackman? Isn't he like 40?
It's like 42 or something like that.
I mean, there are some outliers. There's some people that, but in the UFC, when you find these guys and they just look unbelievable, they're like unbelievably ripped and huge, and they get into their late 30s and then they get popped. They just randomly test them, and then because the way the UFC is set up now with Nowitzki, they'll show up at your house at 6 o'clock in the morning. Wake up, dude. Wake up, dude. Yeah, we need some blood and some pee.
Crazy.
What? And then they test them, and then there's a lot of these guys that are on something that has an insanely short half-life. Like they'll have something that is only shows up in the system for like 7 hours. So what they'll try to do is they'll try to take it like right before they go to bed, and they'll get the benefits of it, but they'll fucking wake you up, man. They'll wake you up.
That's insane.
Well, it's because they want to find out what's going on, and we've exposed, or I shouldn't say we, I have nothing to do with it, but they've exposed tremendous underlying sort of just a standard operational procedure of testosterone, steroids, all sorts of different ways of manipulating the system, EPO, that stuff that Armstrong got caught with, or actually didn't. He never got caught with anything, right? He had to confess.
That's right.
But a lot of those cyclists take EPO, which jacks up your red blood cell production. There's just so many different ways of enhancing the way the body functions, both naturally, like with ketosis and a lot of other methods, and then with exogenous chemicals.
Did you see the documentary on steroids?
Which one? Bigger, Stronger, Faster?
Bigger, Stronger, Faster.
Yeah, I had those guys here.
Yeah, what'd you think?
It's great. It's interesting.
It is interesting.
I've become friends with those guys. It's just when you find out what, how many different types of steroids there are and how many different people and how many different athletes are taking them, and like especially throughout bodybuilding and things. I mean, if you can call that a sport, I guess it's kind of an activity more than it is a sport.
It's kind of dying out though. I feel like.
Is it?
At least the crazy. I had a buddy that competed, and he was definitely juicing. And he said that the big, bulky, kind of crazy, over the top look, and they're going more for more natural appearance. That's kind of the hot thing now.
Like Frank Zane or something like that.
Yeah.
Frank Zane was famous in the Arnold days as being like the most symmetrical and also like the more realistic, like as opposed to like a Lee Haney who is just this fucking massive muscle.
Right.
Whereas Zane was more, he looked more sculpted. He looked more like a, you have a photo of him there?
Another guy.
Oh, Jesus. Who's that guy?
This guy was on Tosh a couple weeks ago,
yeah.
Rich Piana.
He was on what?
Tosh.0. Like,
Oh, yeah. Well, this guy is a crazy guy.
Yeah.
He's sort of a bodybuilder, but more of like a personality. He has an 8-hour arm workout where he works out nothing but his arms for 8 hours.
Wow, his arms are massive.
Yeah, everything's massive. He's a cartoon.
There's definitely some drugs there.
No way, dude. Totally legit. Yeah, no, he's roided to the tits. But Google Frank Zane, and you'll get an idea of what a lot of people thought was like one of the perfect bodies. See, like Frank Zane, I firmly believe that is a body that is possible. You can attain that body without steroids, with strong dedication and good knowledge of nutrition and the right way to lift weights. But Frank Zane never got ridiculously big. Like, that is a regular sized guy at a lot of gyms. Like right there.
Right.
That's a regular sized guy at a lot of like high level gyms. Like, that might not even be the biggest guy.
There looks like there's drugs there though, right? I mean,
don't
those
know.
those
Maybe.
shoulders are popped.
Maybe. Most likely, probably. I don't know. No, that's attainable, man.
Yeah, but look
that's
at the
attainable
chest. See
without
those
drugs.
like little lines?
Yeah, but that just means he's very lean.
Yeah.
Those little lines, striations, that's totally attainable without drugs. There's a level. I mean, you would have to be really dedicated to training, but he's not that big, man, in comparison to some of the people of today. Now, look at him, okay? Now Google Dorian Yates. Dorian Yates, who was fucking, and Dorian is a really interesting guy because he's super honest about it. Like that one right there, to the left of that, right there. What in the fucking Christ? Look how big he is.
That's insane.
That's all drugs and dedication and focus and lifting. 100%. I mean, you don't. If you just took
Jay
steroids,
Cutler, you've seen Jay Cutler's legs, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, type in Jay Cutler.
Those guys are ridiculous. Yeah. Or Tom Platz. You ever seen that guy's legs? Tom Platz has the most ridiculous legs ever. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Cutler's got some.
Yeah.
Those are like horses.
I mean, you have to be a maniac in the gym on top. Look at that fucking picture. That's insane. Yeah. I mean, I think this is also like a mass movement of body dysmorphia, because it's not just that these guys are trying to get as big as they can. I don't think they see themselves the way other people see them either, because like sometimes they freak out when they're not in perfect shape and they want to cover their bodies up with sweaters and stuff, and they don't want anybody looking at them. It's like an anorexia thing in a way.
But it's still like better than 99.9% of humans on Earth, even when they're not in like peak shape.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, but to them, they're used to judging each other so harshly.
Right.
If they have a little bit of extra body fat, they start to freak.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, back to Hugh Jackman and this trainer thing. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a fantastic way to get your body really lean, and that's one of the things he was in that movie. He was super lean.
Yeah.
So he was on a ketogenic diet in that movie?
He was doing the intermittent fasting, so he was doing 16 hours a day.
Every day?
Every day.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then on a ketogenic diet as well?
I don't know about that. No, I don't think he was on ketogenic.
And what was the benefit of doing that 16-hour fasting without a ketogenic
Leaning up.
diet?
Just leaning up.
I would wonder if that would affect, without getting your body into a state of ketosis, I wonder if that would affect the way your body put on muscle mass.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know enough about this. There's also a problem that for the longest time, doctors were calling bullshit on fasting, and they just didn't have a lot of information, but they were like so quick to poo-poo it. Like, like fasting has no I remember this guy telling me this. He was a doctor. He goes, fasting has no medical benefits. Your body exists on nutrients, and when you deny your body nutrients and you think you're somehow or another cleansing your system, it's just a bunch of bunk. Meanwhile, he was wrong.
Right.
And he's a fucking doctor.
I mean, almost all doctors are 5-10 years behind the science, though, right?
A lot of them. Well, the thing is, how much education do they actually have on nutrition?
Right.
And
like 2 hours, if that. It's really small.
Shocking.
It is like that. It's like, a quarter of a semester or something like that.
Yeah.
Something really...
So when you're talking to an oncologist, and the oncologist starts poo-pooing the value of phytonutrients and certain vitamins to combat cancer, and he doesn't stay on top of the cutting edge of it. I mean, people are so weird with what they know that they believe that what they know is all there is out there.
Right.
Like I had a discussion with this woman, and she just did. She was we were talking about this animal that they found in the Congo. It's called the Bondo ape. It's like this enormous chimpanzee, documented like 100%. They have DNA, photos, camera trap pictures of it. They've got the skull of it. They know it's a real animal. And this woman was like she was mocking it. She was mocking it. Like, what kind of fringe things? She said, I went to school for anthropology. Like, I go, oh, well, you're obviously not on the ball.
Right.
Like, maybe you went to school 20 years ago. And then I told her, go Google it. Go Google it. Check out these websites. And she was like, I'm not going to. I go, you're not going to. How about I'll do it in front of you, and then will you shut the fuck up when I show you photos? Because there's this giant chimpanzee that they found in this one rare area of the Congo. That's a really old photo, though, man. That's one of the that's a better photo. Look at the size of that fucking chimp. I mean, that thing is goddamn huge. They have there's a guy named Carl Armand, who's a Swiss wildlife photographer, who set up some camera traps, and he got a picture of one of them walking, standing on. Look at the side of the balls on that.
Yeah,
thing,
it's
too.
huge nuts.
Huge. And that's not even a good picture. That's a kind of a blurry picture. There's some better ones of it, but it's an enormous chimp. It's like a subspecies that turns out to be it enjoys walking upright as well. There, see the far right upper deck? Yeah, that's the camera trap photo. That's one of them. Go full screen on that. It doesn't work. That's one of them walking upright, and they said that fucking thing was 6 feet tall. Like, that is an enormous chimpanzee. But point is, this woman who said she went to school for anthropology was mocking this when we were talking about it. And I was like, look, I'm telling you, it's not something I'm making up. I'm not going to fucking cryptozoology.com. Like, this is National Geographic. This was, like, there's a bunch of different scientists that are studying this thing, trying to find out how many of them there are. And they don't have any of them in captivity. They don't know how many there are. And it's a really dangerous part of the Congo, where it's warlords and fucking, shootings and killings and rapings. It's like it's a very dangerous spot to get to. And they're really, but the point being, when someone gets a certain amount of information on a subject and then they don't stay up on it and they still want to cling to that old information, like this is all there is, like you do a real disservice to the other people that require you to be the one who's the voice of information.
Absolutely. Yeah, the fasting thing is, I think it's starting to come around though. I have a buddy that just beat cancer. He was stage 3 lymphoma.
Whoa.
And he went in for his first chemo treatments, and you just get totally sick when you're doing chemo. And there was some research that had come out talking about fasting prior to chemo and how it helps with the therapy. So he started fasting 2 days prior to doing chemo. So you do 48 hours and then go into chemo, and world of difference. Really? And so it was this doctor put out a bunch of papers, and you can even watch the videos on YouTube of these rats fasting prior to chemo. And the difference between the fasting group and the non-fasting group is like night and day. The group that fasted is like running around, eating, drinking afterwards. Like after they had the chemo treatment, the other group is just on its side, like deathly ill.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really crazy.
That's amazing.
So there's benefits going into chemo too, which is nuts.
Yeah, Rhonda was talking about that. She was talking about Dr. Rhonda Patrick was talking about that there's some pretty significant benefits, not just for combating cancer, but also for dealing with chemo. It's just amazing how many tinkerers there are out there, like Dr. Dom DiAgostino. It's guys who are just super fucking smart, but also tweaking their own body. Like,
have you had Peter Attia on the show yet?
No.
He's another one that.
What's his? How do you say his
Dr. Peter Attia.
How do you spell it?
I'd have to look it up. Attiaea, something like that. He's been on Tim Ferriss' show. He's another body hacker / keto person. Really, really smart guy. He was just on Rhonda's podcast as well.
Oh, okay. I'll find him. There's so many of those people out there now.
I know. It's
well,
great.
These doctors that are also into physical fitness and exercise. Like one of the things about Tim Ferriss's podcast was Dom DiAgostino talking about fasting for 5 days and then doing like 500-pound deadlifts.
Just insane.
Yeah. It's like, what?
So crazy.
You would think of someone who hadn't eaten in 5 days just being a barely alive thing, clinging to life, Yeah, it's really fascinating how we're learning also that the body has a bunch of different ways that it can acquire food, through carbohydrates or fuel rather through carbohydrates or through fat, and it can go back and forth in between those things. And just the reaction that your body has that we think is normal to common everyday foods that are just really fucking terrible for you, but we all eat them, Mm-hmm. And you can do occasionally every now and then, but I didn't when I really committed to it was when I met Mark Sisson and I did the podcast with him, and I really started talking about about the benefits of it, and I just decided, well, it's worth a shot. Let me just give it a shot. And within 5 or 6 days, I knew that this was going to be probably the way I eat for the rest of my life. And one of the things that really hit me was how bad I felt when I wasn't taking in sugar for a few days. Mm-hmm. I was like, God, I got a headache. I feel like shit. And I realized, oh, my body's addicted to this crap.
Absolutely. Sugar is the devil. It's so bad for us. I mean, just I'm sure you keep up with the data as well, but just like it feels like every few months there's another report that comes out and talks about how toxic and evil it is.
But it's so yummy.
It is yummy.
What a fucking weird biological trick.
Yeah, but we never used to eat it like that. We didn't refine it to the level that we do now.
Right. Well, it's still, I mean, what's interesting too is sugar is yummy and ice cream is delicious, but fruit is like one of the best tasting things you can get your hands on. Like if you have a nice ripe peach,
right,
is one of the most fantastic things and so underappreciated, so underrated. Like that is the way you're supposed to get your sugar. It's really the only way. Like if you really want sugar, you're really supposed to eat like a fresh orange.
Right.
And they taste amazing.
Yeah, like that should be our dessert every night. It's like...
It's just as good as chocolate cake. It really is. It's just you have it in your head that chocolate cake is the dessert. That frosting. And look at it. It's moist.
I love chocolate, and I've started to eat 100% chocolate. So
okay.
No sugar added.
Yeah.
But here's the funny thing. The 100% chocolate that you've ever tasted or anyone else out there has ever tasted is the baker's chocolate. It's the stuff that you get at the store, and it's made exclusively for baking. Mm-hmm. It's super bitter and harsh and nasty and burnt. And the reason, I was talking to a chocolate maker, this guy that owns Fruition Chocolate out of New York, and he said, well, they just bake the hell out of it. Like they over roast it. It's not for consumption like that, so they don't care. He makes 100% chocolate bar that is actually palatable. Like it's. Do
they ship?
What's it? Do they ship?
They ship?
They ship.
What's the name of the company?
Fruition.
Fruition?
And they make 100% no sugar added chocolate bar, and I do like a little quarter piece of that, and it's just you feel amazing. Chocolate is a great little pick me up. Has a little bit of caffeine in there as well.
Well, that's why it's bad for dogs.
Yes. I had to have my dog's stomach pumped. I'm dead serious. It's horrible. My poor little Labradoodle that's gone through raccoon attack and everything else. We left one of those
sweet dogs.
He's a sweet dude.
Oh my god, he's so friendly.
We left one of those chocolate bars, the Whole Foods like dark chocolate, like 80%, and we came home and the wrappers like all over the floor, and I'm like, oh my god. And so I called the vet. They're like, bring him in right away. Brought him down there. 2 days in the hospital on IV.
Whoa.
Like he ate like 6 times the lethal dose or something like that. I mean, he's a small little Labradoodle.
And did they put charcoal in his stomach and the whole deal?
We had to give him charcoal afterwards.
God damn,
it was really brutal.
Well, apparently it just jacks their little hearts. Like that's what kills them.
Yeah.
The little heart.
They do seizures and they have all that, so it's really bad.
Fucking chocolate,
scary.
man.
Chocolate. That's like the only saving grace of like a Hershey's or something. They're not really chocolate anymore. They're like 2% or whatever,
Is it really?
Yeah. So when when I called, they're like, "Well, what type of chocolate?"
Right.
You know, like because if it's like a Hershey's bar, they don't. They're like, "Oh, he might throw up, but be okay."
Really?
Well, I don't know if it's Hershey's bars, but you know what I mean. Like
Right.
the lesser, like almost all sugar bars with milk don't have a ton of chocolate. Not like an 80% dark, organic, free trade, artisanal bar from Whole Foods.
Right.
Like it's a whole nother level. That's real chocolate.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good chocolate though. I love those things. The little cocoa nibs in them.
Oh, the little nibs. Those will get you. Those
yeah.
are tasty.
They're yummy. Yeah. I'm just trying to avoid everything sweet other than fruit.
Yeah.
My
So you do fruit in ketosis?
Well, it'll knock
Berries.
me out. I'll do blueberries.
Yeah, a little bit of berries.
I'll
is
do
fine.
mangoes occasionally.
Mangoes
it'll knock
that's a
you
sugar
out.
one.
It'll definitely knock you out. But
It's not as bad as refined sugar though. It's fructose versus sucrose, right?
right. But see, I'm not necessarily 100% concerned with getting knocked out. My concern was like, what is the diet that my body functions the best on?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do I feel when I work out? How do I feel like just throughout the day? And for me, no sugar. That's the big one. Avoid all that. No pasta. No bread. Cut all that stuff out. And no rice. When I just do that, it doesn't seem to fuck with me too much if I have like a pear.
Right.
Or a little bit of this, or a little in yogurt. You know, if you have like a large bowl of yogurt and blueberries, realistically, you're getting too much sugar. You know, but too much sugar for what? It's not. It doesn't fuck my body up.
Right.
But it's going to knock me out of ketosis.
Sure.
But then I take exogenous ketones, and
That's what I should do because when I get knocked out, I'm in a slump.
Yeah, just take exogenous ketones.
You
You know,
go to
Dom
Ketocana?
D'Agostino has his own brand now.
The ketogenic stuff.
No, he has his own brand.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Ketenics. I just bought it. I just had it delivered. I haven't tried it yet, but I've been doing Keto OS, which is another company.
They need to
that's
come up with better
similar.
names for these products. Like everyone's like, "What's ketocana?"
I don't know. Who cares? I don't give a fuck what they call it. Just pour it in the water. It's great. But
They taste good.
yeah, it's
The
fine.
ketocana is good, but I heard
It's not
some of
bad.
them are really jet fuely nasty.
Keto OS is fine. I mean, it's not the best tasting stuff in the world. It's not Gatorade, but it's not awful.
Right.
It's fine. It's just, like I said, my main concern is predominantly making sure I'm eating healthy stuff. Just making sure that and then I also have to really vet out some of the information when it comes to increasing the mitochondria in your body. Like, is that all real? Like, I don't know. I need to find the pros and cons or the detractors of these ideas, because there's some of the things that Sisson was saying that was like, ooh, I gotta look that up. And Kyle Kingsbury, who's a friend of mine, who's a former UFC fighter, who's a very, very smart guy, who's also been keto for a couple years now. I have a few friends that are athletes, like real high-level athletes. My friend Danny Propokos, he's a former jiu-jitsu world champion. He's been ketogenic for the past year. He's really dedicated. He takes that Ketocana stuff.
Oh, cool.
But he's just 100% convinced it's the way to go. But it's funny, man, how many people like fight like cats and dogs about this online. It's almost like a Mac versus PC thing, you know?
I think it comes down to like just how you, like you said, how you personally feel on it. Like for me, I was always having that, okay, you know, it's afternoon, I'm in a slump, I'm mentally a little foggy. Like, you know, and I attribute a lot of that to a lot of the refined carbs that I was eating.
100%.
And sugar. And
100%.
you get rid of that stuff. And you're just sharper.
Way sharper.
It's like, you know, like I said about the cold therapy and the mood, the 20% boost. It's like a 20% boost in just mental clarity and sharpness.
Yeah. For my own personal experience, my own experimentation, that has been the biggest factor. The biggest factor has been cutting out sugar.
Yeah.
Cutting out sugar, cutting out refined carbs, all that had a massive positive benefit. So then, you know, a little fruit and a lot of I think fruit is
What's your
healthy.
vice, though?
My vice?
Do you have anything? Like, do you ever do pizza every once in a while?
No. I mean, like
Alcohol.
I said, I went a good solid 55 days strict until I went to Mexico. And then when I went to Mexico, I just had some tortillas. That was it.
Yeah.
But even then, I didn't
Chips?
feel bad. But I tell you what, man, after I ate the tortillas, I had some dessert there when I was there, too. I felt like shit.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
boy. When you don't have it for, you know, almost 2 months,
Yeah.
and then you do have it, like, oh, my God, it's like I ate a brick.
Did you skyrocket out with like some ketocana, like to
didn't have
rocket
any
boost
with
down
me.
there? Oh.
Didn't bring any with me. No, I just roughed it. I just decided, look, I'm going to be down here. I'm vacationing with my family. I'm just going to drink margaritas and go fishing and have a great time. I'm not giving a fuck about anything. I needed like a mental break because I have like essentially 3 occupations. and I manage them consecutively, and they're all fun, and I enjoy them. But I think that just the sheer RPMs that I'm operating at all the time needs breaks. So I'm learning as I get older to get better at just shutting all that shit down. So I'm shutting everything down.
Are you good at saying no?
I'm great at saying no.
That's good.
I'm good at
That's
that now.
That's a big piece of it, is just saying no to a lot of things.
Yeah, after the last 4 years, I've gotten better and better at it. I'm really good at that. I say no to really good stuff.
Yeah, I know. So do I. Do you ever look on your calendar and think oh God, I committed to that thing, and I
not anymore.
That's
but
good.
I did. I used to.
Yeah.
Well, that was my entire career on Fear Factor. It's fuck. How is this thing still on the air? Shit.
How many years was that on the air for?
6 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah, 148 episodes, and then we came back and did it again for 6 more episodes. But yeah, now I don't. I do it less and less. Now almost everything I do, I really, really enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And that helps. That helps a lot. If you can, but it's hard. It's hard to, for a lot of folks, that's not where their money is. Their money comes from things that make them uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Their money comes from things that they don't enjoy, but they just happen to be good at it or understand really well. It's such a treat and such a huge blessing in life, although I hate that word blessing, but it's such a huge positive if you can find something you actually enjoy and that is actually how you make your living.
Mm-hmm.
God, it's so lucky to be able to do that. So few people have that where they can, the one thing that they don't, today, my day was I worked out and then I said, oh, I'm going to go talk to Kevin Rose today. This is going to be fucking awesome. I'm psyched. And that's my day. I mean, there's no negative to that, and then, go have dinner. I mean, it's all normal stuff. It's to have that as a job. It's it's beautiful.
Yeah, I see that a lot. I spent the last, probably 8 years doing technology investing, at Google Ventures and on my own. And the entrepreneurs that go after things that they're really personally passionate about, they're the ones that actually win in the end, because they just, when they have those shitty days, it's not oh man, I got to give up. It's their baby. It's their life's work.
Yeah.
And they can push through that. And that's I find that those are the hard moments, and only the moments that you can get through if you're truly passionate and into what you're doing.
Well, I have a lot of varied interests, but I also have a lot of interest in other people's interests, even if I'm not interested in their interests. What I mean is if I'm listening to a guy talk, say if he's he makes custom kitchen knives, and he's just really into it, and he talks to you about the type of steel that he uses and how he prepares the blade.
I'm the same way.
I'm in, man. I'm in.
My last podcast was interviewing a guy to talk about the absolute best paper notebooks, and we geeked out for 45 minutes on stationery.
What's the best?
The best is a couple, domestically,
I'm a Moleskine fan.
Moleskine are the worst.
They're the worst?
They're the worst.
What's wrong with them?
Dude, you got to listen to my podcast.
I can't do this anymore. The world's filled with lies.
Dude, Moleskine, they source their paper from China.
China bad paper?
It
China?
has bad paper.
What's wrong with the paper? You write on it. You can see what you wrote.
It goes a lot deeper than that. Anyway, needless to say, 2 brands out of Japan are the best.
Okay, what are they?
I'll forward you my last
you don't
newsletter.
Want to say it?
It was I don't. They're Mio.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
Is there any one that I can buy that's made down here in the USA?
Yes. So Field Notes.
Field Notes
are let's see. It was. Let's see, there was one other. It was. I'm gonna. What's the name that starts the
How
R?
How can you hate on this lovely moleskin? How can you hate on this? Look at this.
I mean, it's a beautiful thing.
Look, I got a little
they
rubber
used to
band.
be super
comes with
legit.
it. Look at that. That is super legit.
It's all marketing.
No. It's paper. It's paper, and you're right on it.
It's made with cancer
and I can read
substances.
it. Cancer.
No, I just made that up. Sorry.
Cancer in my moleskin. How dare you? There's nothing wrong with this. This is a good little notebook. And look, perfect size. I like that little rubber band thing.
Baron Fig also, domestically made.
Right,
I know. Check out Can you pull up Baron Fig for him real quick?
Baron Fig?
Yes. This is an awesome little book you're gonna fall in love with.
Another moleskin. Oh, look at this. A moleskin in the wrapper. Would you like this one? I can give it to you.
You
don't
should
even
recycle it. You should recycle it. I can't believe you're a moleskin guy.
They're great. What's wrong with them?
Look at these. There's
What's
Baron
that?
Fig.
The seer. Yeah,
so click on the confident down a little bit further down.
You know what I'm seeing out of this? A bunch of dorks who don't really get anything done.
No, look at this.
Ooh, look at that.
Now hold on.
She's got
Look at
pretty hands.
handcrafted from scratch. Keep going.
Okay, what am I looking at?
Opens flat. You know how there's always that, look at that, opens flat.
Okay, let me see if this one opens.
Anyway, this is just made with some awesome guys out of New York,
This
and see, doesn't open flat.
But
High quality paper. It'll work with any pen type that you throw at it. Great dimensions. Like, it's just, you know.
what's the name of this company again?
Baron Fig.
Spell it. B-A-R-O-N?
Baronfig. This is one that I would say was the fan favorite out of the one that I pulled on.
All right, I'll check it out. They have all sorts of different sizes. They have a little one like this moleskin. It fits in my pocket.
Yeah, also, it's Rhodia is the one I was trying to think of. Rhodia. Rhodia is the one that won his best not domestic pick, or not domestic pick, but just one that's easy to find around at various stationery shops.
You know what I like too? Those ones with the black and white speckled covers that you buy at the supermarket.
Oh, those old school ones.
Yes. What are those things
Those are
called?
like the Mead ones or whatever. Like the...
Well, it's like
know
it's
what
got
you're
the black
talking
band around the edge. What the fuck are those called? Composition books?
Yeah, composition books. Like that. Yeah,
those are great. I like those.
Yeah, those are cool.
Those are okay?
Well, it depends on whether you want... The thing is, at the end of the day, none of it matters. Look what we're running on Staples right now. Who cares? But if you want them to stand the test of time, if you want them to be archival quality, if you want them to work with fountain pens, it's super geeky. I wasn't really into this
stuff. If you have a fountain pen, lose my number.
I do not have a fountain pen.
If you're one of those guys with a feather with a jug of ink on your desk, tap, tap, tap.
No, I'm not. I do not have a fountain pen.
I have to go. I'm taking a calligraphy class at 5. Yeah, there's something about really nice pens that is attractive.
I was you like to geek out on stuff. You were saying that. That's why I brought it up.
I'm only giving you a hard time. I'm with you 100% of the way. I mean, I could totally geek out about paper.
I geek out about paper, about coffee stuff.
Oh, I geek out about coffee.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you do your own pour over at home?
My own what?
Pour over?
What's a pour over?
Like where you grind your own beans and you pour water on top of it? So
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what you meant.
Do you have like a Hario
pour over?
Do you have like a Chemex or a V60?
What are you talking about? No, I use a French press.
Okay, well, that's fine too.
It's okay?
I mean, it's very 90s, but
it works great.
I'm just kidding. It's great.
I have this guy, Peter Giuliano, who's a real legit coffee expert, travels all over the world. And he said French press is what he uses.
Yeah, I mean, I think the AeroPress is great. I do the V60, which is...
what do you got there, Jamie?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
see, this is our little pour over station.
Is that from Caveman? I think so, yeah. Caveman sent us that? Caveman Coffee is one of the companies that we work with. Company.
Wow.
Locally sourced. Everything comes from Colombia. It's a single family, single origin. They get it in Colombia and then they bring it to New Mexico, process it. Very small company.
So all these are made in Colombia?
All this stuff here is probably made in New Mexico.
Oh, it's beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Well, Caveman Coffee's it's a buddy of mine's company, and it's his passion. My friend Tate and Keith Jardine and Lacey Mackey are the other two people that are involved in the company, and it's a single origin, single family, single source company where they know the people that are growing this coffee. They go to visit these people in Colombia. It's like you're getting it from the source. And when you open up the bag,
heaven,
the aroma of the freshly roasted coffee, and it's got a roasted date on it. You know, they let you know like when it was picked, when it was roasted. It's fantastic stuff.
There's a great coffee shop that I've been to in Tokyo, and it is this guy. He's like I call him like the Jiro of coffee. You know Jiro, the sushi guy. So he does something. He ferments his coffee beans. So he ferments them for I think 3 or 4 months. So they're not fresh, and they're really pungent and oily. And then he does a 20-minute like water pour over in front of you.
20 minutes?
So they don't speak English. You walk in there, and all you can say that he'll understand is old beans. And then he literally sits there for 20 minutes and does the slowest drip pour over you've ever seen in your entire life. And then it's done, and he serves it to you with like 2 hands. Super legit.
Like it's a baby?
Like it's a baby.
Wow.
You're presented with the baby.
How was it?
Phenomenal. It's really good.
Did you pour sugar in it, cream?
Of
and
course,
just
I
mix
just slaughtered it. I put my ketones in there.
Well, this is ketones for coffee. That's what this is.
No, I know.
This is keto cream.
This stuff is so sugary, man.
Is it sugary?
It's got stevia. They went
but
heavy
it's
on
not
the stevia.
sugary.
I know, but
it only
it's,
has 4 grams of sugar per
but
serving.
it's just like, for me, it was so sweet. When you don't have sugar or sweets for a long time,
Right.
it just like really hits you.
Well, I bought this stuff and I've never used it. It's one of those things that I always say, Jamie, one day I'm going to use that, and then I just keep drinking this butter coffee. Have you ever had Kopi Luwak?
No.
You don't know what that is?
No.
Ah.
Oh, wait, yeah, I've had
That's
it.
the stuff that
The-
the cat
yeah,
civet
cat.
shits out.
Yeah, I've had that.
Yeah.
At
Did
that
you
time,
like
it was
it?
just okay.
Really? I
Yeah.
thought that was really good.
I
Plus,
heard you're big into bulletproof coffee.
Well, that's what this is.
No, but the brand bulletproof.
No, I'm
I'm
not.
just
You're
kidding. I
joking
heard
around.
you. I heard you have a podcast.
Well, that turned out to be kind of a scam, unfortunately.
That's
The
too
name
bad.
is a great name.
Oh, it's
And
killer
the
marketing.
formula, which was created by Rob Wolf, really, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I
Rob
didn't know
Wolf-
that.
Rob Wolf wrote about putting grass-fed butter and MCT oil in coffee in like 2004 or something like that.
Crazy.
He wrote about it and published it. And well, that's that guy's ideas. They're not all bad, and some
Right.
of them aren't bad at all. But and one of the things that Rhonda Patrick had to correct was he gets things wrong about the science behind things because he's sort of reciting other people's work. He's not actually doing work.
Right.
And he's not really a scientist when it
Right.
comes to that stuff. He's just a collector of ideas and then redistributes them and puts that word on them.
Right, which is fine as long
It's
as you
fine.
actually hire a scientist to double and triple check everything you're doing.
Well, the motivation,
Because he's a brilliant marketer.
The motivation was very deceptive because he was trying to sell everybody on this idea of mycotoxins in coffee. He's
Yeah,
completely
I heard about
abandoned
this.
that.
Yeah.
Completely abandoned that.
Okay.
That was the one reason why you're supposed to buy his coffee as opposed to anybody else's.
Right.
Completely unsubstantiated. And then we spent a shitload of money trying to find out whether or not that was true. Because it's expensive to test coffee for mycotoxins. We tested all this different coffee, random coffee, Whole Foods coffee, Starbucks coffee, coffee bean coffee. Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing. And then the more I talk to actual coffee experts, the more they're like, no, they figured out how to stop that in the 80s. It's the difference between the climate in Ethiopia, which is an incredibly dry climate, which is where all coffee comes from. And this is another thing that we found out from Peter Giuliano. All coffee came from Ethiopia, all of it. And then they started growing it in these other climates, like in South America. When you think of Colombia and Juan Valdez and the
Right.
coffee. Well, that coffee, the problem with that is that's a moist environment. It's a moist, green, lush environment. It's not dry like Ethiopia. So they would try to use the same drying methods, and it didn't work because these beans would get moldy. And then they would develop these molds and
Gotcha.
toxins. And so that became an issue. But then they figured out a way to wet process. So the wet processing became the solution for dealing with the mold issue. So they solved that a long fucking time ago.
So some of the single origins that you can buy at some of the fancier places are still dry process. I wonder if those would
Ethiopian
potentially-
coffees. Yeah, Ethiopian coffees are still very, very popular and really delicious.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things Giuliano brought us in was Yirgacheffe. How do you say it? What is this stuff?
No,
It's a
it's
type of Ethiopian
um,
coffee.
Yirgacheffe? No,
Yirgash- We're not gonna get it right.
I know.
Between the two of us. But it was like almost a sweet, not sweet, but a lemony.
Yeah, I've had it.
Oh,
It's amazing.
Amazing. Really,
good
really
stuff.
interesting stuff. We have some? We might. But the variables and the variations in flavors, I think, is really interesting. How some flavors just have like this like bold, almost like dark taste to them, and other ones are like almost like you're drinking flowers. You know?
So what are you drinking these days? Do you go and buy a certain brand? Or?
No, Caveman sends us different stuff
Oh, cool.
all the time, but because it's my friend's company, and I know how ethical they are and how they source it and how they have this great relationship with this farm in Colombia, and it's all like direct relationship. It's like to me, it's the easiest way to deal with it. You know, like, and they have, if you go to their website, they explain how they do everything. It's just
Awesome.
It's just the cleanest way to go about it. And they also have this nitrogenated coffee.
Oh,
have you ever had of that?
Yeah, Stumptown has a cold nitro.
Do you want to freak out? You want to freak out right now? You want to feel like you want to run through a fucking wall? I'll give you one. 270 milligrams of
cold?
caffeine. Yeah. Do we have any?
Can
in
I
the
have
back?
like just a little taste, or do I have to drink a whole can?
Yeah, man. You can weigh some of it.
I've already had so much coffee today.
I know, me too. I want more.
You already
Bring
gave me
out
the
a couple of
bulletproof.
those.
I've been drinking this the entire show.
Yeah, we're trying to come up with a new name for it.
Oh, sorry.
I don't like
the,
to use his name.
Yeah, what should
There
we
it
call
is.
it then? What do you call it?
It's called butter coffee.
Butter
That's what
coffee.
it is. It's coffee with butter in it.
The Caveman Nitro.
It's just too bad that the guy's a dork. No offense.
I should have done that in front of the mic.
You could hear it. But a lot
That's
of his
great.
products, a lot of those bulletproof products,
That's
are
so
still,
chill. It's really mild.
They're still very good products, like his grass-fed whey and a lot of his other stuff. Nothing wrong with it.
That's great coffee.
It's great, right?
Yeah.
270 milligrams of caffeine in this little tiny thing.
Oh my God.
Ooh, good Lord.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
A normal cup is like what, 130?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I think a venti Starbucks is 200. I think that's what we
Yeah,
established.
I'm not gonna do this whole
This
thing.
is rocket fuel. So we're winding this bitch up. It's about to end.
All right.
Anything to say before we go? This is a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, thanks for having
really
me.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
If you're ever in town, man, open invitation.
I
Let's do
appreciate
it again.
that. I'm a fan watching your show.
Thank you.
And it's cool to actually be here because you normally see this stuff on video. And
Is
you
it
never get
weird?
a sense of the space. You guys have
You
a really
physically
cool.
here?
No, I like it. It's got a good vibe to it.
We've been here for a few years now. I got to eventually buy a place and move into it and try to recreate this or something new. I think maybe, but this is
Got little Buddhas all over the place.
It works.
Got mini Tupac. It's great.
got a Conor McGregor,
That's awesome.
mini Conor McGregor, mini Tupac. Yeah, it's a good spot. I'm enjoying it here. You're not going to do your podcast anymore? You ever going to bring that back?
No, Digg Nation is gonna. The fans want us to bring it back.
Ooh.
We had a lot of fun doing it back in
Ooh.
the day. But I think that we'll get together at some point and do it. I see Alex, who lives here in LA. I see him every few months. And it's just a matter of trying to find a venue, and we want to do a live show if we're going to do it.
Oh,
We
in
used to
front of an
do-
audience?
Yeah, we used to do really crazy, like 4,000 person live shows. It
Wow.
was kind of nuts.
Why would you want to stop that?
We did it for so many years, and our show involves a lot of drinking. And so we were just like, I killed my liver. It was just like,
Do you have to do drinking?
yeah.
Why?
Because that's kind of the show. The show is two guys sitting on a couch getting hammered, talking about dumb tech stories. And it was just like, it was our thing for so many years.
Could you replace it with pot?
I don't know. I think we'd just be too dumb. I don't know that anything would get done.
You know what? Bring this
Yeah,
too.
just the nitro.
Just
like a
caveman
nice
nitro, the
nitro
shit up.
upper.
Take Pracetam, Alpha Brain, Neuro.
I need to get some of that from you before I leave.
I'll get some. I'll get
Awesome.
some. Do we have any here? Well, I'll get you some either way. Figure out a way.
But yeah, I'm doing the journal newsletter, thejournal.email if you want to sign up there. And there's a podcast that goes along with that. And it's got the most random, weird guests on it. There's no theme. Every
Okay.
month it's just something different. Like
Cool.
we did notebooks and then Rhonda Patrick the month before.
Nice.
So it's like, I'll probably have Tim on at some point. If you're ever in New York, I'll have you on.
Fuck yeah, yeah.
just something fun to do.
Okay, awesome.
Cool.
Well, thanks, Kevin. Appreciate
Yeah.
it, man. This is a lot of fun.
Good to be on the show. Thank you.
All right, folks, we'll be back on Thursday with Rick Doblin, the director of MAPS, Multidisciplinary something psychedelic studies. He's a drug guy. An awesome drug guy. A guy who's trying to promote legalizing very beneficial psychedelic compounds. All right, we'll be back soon. See ya. Much love. Bye-bye. Big kiss.
Yeah, thank you.